It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
What up, what up? What up, what up? Mic check, mic check. Good morning if you're watching on Twitch. Good morning if you're watching on Facebook. Good morning if you're watching later. My name is Mika Gadsden. This is Mic'd Up in the Morning. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to stick with it. This is Mic'd Up in the Morning with Mika. And I'm happy to be here as my webcam gets out of focus again. Shout out Logitech. But good morning. Hey, Debbie, you watching on Facebook. Hey, how you doing? So want to get into it real quick. Shout out to y'all yesterday. It's my first day back. I kind of whether y'all notice it or not, it's not the point. I know I feel it. Again, I'm out of focus, but just it'll get there. Hey, what's up, Justin? What's up, Denise? Good morning. Whether y'all notice it or not, this show, I need rhythm. I'm like I was horrible at basketball. I rode the bench at St. Andrews High School. St. Andrews High School. I was a St. Andrews Rock. I rode the bench. I was horrible. But if I was a good athlete, I know I'd be a rhythm shooter. Like, I'd need to get a rhythm to to perform well. And so it was my first day back after a couple of days off. And so I feel like today, my second days back always feel a little bit better. It's like leftovers. It's like good spaghetti or something like that. Lasagna tastes better the next day. So hopefully things will taste better today. But I don't, yesterday was yesterday. Went off on Ross Appel. Hate smarmy elected officials, and especially smarmy elected officials who are not even politically savvy enough to just shut up. There are tons of people on city council who don't necessarily identify with or respect or honor the activist base here in Charleston, but you never really hear them say anything disparaging. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that but they're smart enough to keep their mouth shut, and Ross went toe to toe. And so I let all that out, but I wanted to go back to that real quick. So I went off on a little Ross Appel rant, deliciously peppered with profanity and outrage. But I wanted to come back and say that, for Ross to sit there and to diminish what the activist base has done to articulate the issues here, social injustices, criminal justice, overreach, for Ross to kind of just throw all that away. And especially after the summer we've come out of last year, after what we've seen locally with the Jamal Sutherland case, after what we've seen with a bevy of really important issues that impact folks on the margin most directly, it shows you that he was never really invested in justice, and nor has Ross ever been a leading voice in justice. You can look to maybe Jason Saccharin or Carol Jackson more than anyone else. But what Ross, in his inability to be a professional and his inability to demonstrate an understanding as to how the activist base actually helps him understand the contours of very complex issues, in his haste to just capitulate to the police and law enforcement, and also but also he was signaling to the business owning class here in Charleston, the business owning class around the world who's invested in Charleston. We're going to get into that today. We're going to tiptoe into that. All right, today he was signaling to CVB members, the business district, the business class, the investors who are all flocking to Charleston to invest and to take and to own land as they push the residents and the history and all of the other things out. And so in his haste to capitulate to them, Ross completely discounted the voice of the people. And I just think that was just, not only was it disrespectful to me, to anyone else who's been in those streets, but it's disrespectful to his constituency. He said that it's the same seven people call on Zoom every week. That's an engaged base. That was your moment. Another missed opportunity by another lawmaker, right? That was your moment to actually you know what? I know you guys are passionate about this issue. I don't necessarily agree with the core tenets of your argument, but this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm making that decision. So instead of just trying to put us in our place, you miss an opportunity to at least acknowledge that we've helped frame issues for city council, and we've helped to bring much needed attention to injustices at the hands of the police and so on and so forth. And so that's what I wanted to say when my temperature, hey, what's up, D Bartlett? When my temperature lowered about 20 degrees, I wanted to deliver that message directly to Ross and say, regardless if I curse or not, you played yourself, you embarrassed yourself, you dismissed and diminished the work of so many people who represent your city. And I know European and Middle Eastern and folks from Georgia, from throughout the country. I know those folks have come and have, courted you all, and you all have, city council I'm speaking to, have slowly just sold off bits and pieces of Charleston to the highest bidder. I know that that's really who you care about, Ross and Mayor Tecklenburg and Helen Hill and all of y'all. But I'm here to tell you that as long as there are people here in Charleston, as long as there are Black people, as long as there are people who have had enough, people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired here, we will continue to voice opposition. And just so you know, Ross, is way more than 7. It's way more than 7 people. But you'll find that out shortly. All right, so B-Man, what's up, B-Man? Good morning. Shout out to my B-Man. What up? B-Man, you said it was unprofessional and emotional. Right, almost akin to a tantrum. Funny how men never get that label. Men never get, thanks, shout out. That's a white man talking, y'all. Shout out B-Man for that commentary. What up, AJ on Facebook? What up? AJ on Facebook, you says he'd have to recognize his arrogance and be humble enough to remember that all of his constituents are not the business class, right? The business community. Absolutely. Thank you, AJ. That was a very good comment. Absolutely. Right. But, we're going to keep carrying on and whatnot, so on and so forth. I want to switch gears. So the Twitter notification that went out this morning was about the eviction moratorium. All right. So we're going to talk about the developments with the eviction moratorium. Y'all know North Charleston is the eviction capital of the country. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about redlining. And yeah, that all plays into, housing and gaining access to affordable housing. We're going to talk about the affordable housing reporting from the past year. We're going to even take it back to 2018. We're going to talk about evictions. We're going to talk about a boom in Qatari investment in South Carolina and in Charleston specifically. And this is not to disparage anyone from Qatar or anything like that, but we just need to And so, there was this sentiment that was gaining popularity, that has gained popularity all throughout the country. A number of Black people seeing places like Detroit, Newark, Charleston, the Bay Area, you're seeing these areas where that were becoming gentrified, drastically gentrified, violently gentrified, right? Even though gentrification is violent displacement. I saw the sentiment that became popular the past few years, buy back the block, right? It's an assertion that Black capitalism will save us, but we know the master's tools will never save us, right? We can't becoming more staunch capitalists will never save us from oppression. And so I challenged that whole sentiment around, we gonna buy back the block. We're gonna start we're gonna keep Granny's house. I challenge that, not because I don't agree with the actual sentiment that, hey, Black people need to try and build equity if they can, where they can, or invest in land trusts and other types of things akin to land trusts. But I push back because it's an oversimplification of a very complicated issue, especially here in the Low Country. So if you're talking about buying back the block, if you watch this live stream, we've gone over these TIF districts, right? So there are about 11 TIF districts in Charleston, 9 of which are on the peninsula. So this place, Charleston, was predominantly Black up until Developer Riley took office as mayor of Charleston back in 78, 79, right before the 80s, right? And then you saw saw through his policies, you saw the drastic flip in black residency on the peninsula, specifically in Charleston largely, but you saw this huge flip. Like, so by the time 40 years later, after developer Joe Riley left the mayor's office of Charleston, you saw black home ownership, black residency completely just flipped to where it was majority white by the time he ended his 4-year reign of terror. And so I'm bringing it up because, you know, when we talk about buy back the block, you got to look at those TIFs that have been in place since the 90s. And you got to look at how, like, you're talking about over 30 years worth of economic momentum in one area. You're talking about courtship of international investment. And so buying back the block is not easy. Buying back the block from a black perspective is impossible because the block has already been bought. The block has already been bought, right? Not only that, you're looking at how the white power structure here, the white dominant class here, another developer took office after Riley, and we got Mayor Tecklenburg. So we have 2 consecutive developers who are very ambitious. And so what we're also seeing now in Charleston is, the mayor of Charleston is also on the board, the aviation board, right? And that's big. That's a big thing, along with Helen Hill from the CVB. And, you know, who's running things? Who's the CEO of the aviation board? Elliot Summy, right? So he's getting what, $290,000 a year for this job that he's not even qualified for, nor did they even look for, you know, other candidates that were more qualified. Of course, the little bear son, the little cub of Summy, Mayor Summy, his little, you know, nepotism and white privilege gifted this man this job. But anyway, if you look at the aviation board, and you look at what Helen Hill, Elliot Summy, Mayor Tecklenburg, you look at some of their business meetings, you look at some of their dealings, you see really quite quickly, you'll see that they've courted investment, international investment, quite ambitiously. And while I don't have an enormous stack of reporting, I have enough reporting. Shout out to Warren Wise for Post and Courier. Good. What's up, LL Cool J or L Cool J? Good morning, D. But I don't have, like, I have enough, right? So I sent myself something back in 2019, and I tweeted this yesterday, and I took the tweet down because I'm like, me could talk about it on Twitch first. So back in 2019, I sent myself an article after my friend gave me a tip from somebody in food and bev. And so it just took me down this rabbit hole yesterday of Qatari investment in the Low Country, the spy drones. This has been widely reported by the Post and Courier. So the spy drones, and I remember this, I shit you not. So my aunt, I don't want to say her name, but one of my daddy's sisters, years ago, was like, the Middle Easterns done bought up all that land on John's Island, and I didn't know what she was talking about, and I was like looking out for it. I'm like, what is she talking about? She said, the Middle Easterns bought up all that land, and I, you know, because, you know, we're from Walmart, so that, you know, John's Island's right there, and I'm like, and I never asked her a follow-up question. I just thought it was just some kind of conjecture. I thought maybe it was just somebody. I didn't know what she was talking about. And then lo and behold, I see this Daily Beast article pop up. So we're going to talk about that, about like, hey, not only are we leading the country in gentrification, but let me show you how they're selling off your city. And it's so funny how, like, Mayor Tecklenburg has this really good, he's a great performer, right? And he has this really, really, like, he comes off so Mayberry, all shucks, I didn't know. It like almost like, you know, just being coquettish, being coy, I guess. Maybe that's more appropriate. And I'm like, dude, you one of the most gangster ass salespeople I've ever seen. Yo, you gangster. You could wear that seersucker and that smile, but dude, you really giving Riley a run for his money in terms of what you're selling off, right? Very complicated issue, AJ. You're saying very complicated. But Tecklenburg is giving Mayor Riley a run for his money. But okay, so we're going to talk about that. But we're going to first and foremost, let me switch it up. First and foremost, we're going to continue to pay tribute. I didn't get to do this the way I wanted to yesterday. Again, day 2 is always better than day 1, right? I'm acting like it's some kind of supernatural reason for it. But anyway, so yesterday I talked about the death of the founder of the Charleston Chronicle, a historical and important Black publication based right here in Charleston, South Carolina. And I desired, the reason why I didn't really talk about it was because I was actually I was processing it as someone who studied I'm going to hold up a book, studied the history of historical Black papers in South Carolina, like the Georgetown Planet, like the Afro Citizen, like the Lighthouse and Informer, like the Charleston Chronicle. Someone who studied, like, in reading this book, Newspaper Wars by Sid Bedingfield. As someone who studied this, I really was processing what the death of a James French really means for us. And I didn't want to read Adam Parker's writing. I'm just letting y'all know Adam Parker is a white man who writes almost all of the civil rights and black maybe, personal interest stories, whatever you want to call them. He writes them all, and I'm just tired of his voice. Like, from a reader's perspective, I'm tired of hearing this white man talk about Black issues. And even in the write-up about James French, a lot was left to be desired. So I looked for other mentions of hey, good morning, thank you for following, Izzy. I looked for other voices, and so I found this. The Washington Post did list this. I thought this was dope. Did publish this obituary. Founder of Charleston's esteemed Black community paper dies. Of course, they used a picture. This is a great picture, I ain't gonna lie, from the Post and Courier. Great picture taken in 2005. And I'm gonna read a little bit of this, and then I'm gonna hop and read something that's not new, but is printed and published by Barney Blakely. Blakely of the Chronicle. Y'all know Barney. If you read the Chronicle or subscribed to it like I did, you know Barney's voice. I know Barney personally. Barney was one of those voices. I think last year he calls me here and there, maybe very intermittently, very randomly, but he was like, yo, you the next one up, right? And that meant a lot to me. As some, it just meant a lot to me. And not to say that, I'm this and that, but just, it meant a lot that somebody who's in that space of Black journalism in Charleston thought enough of what I was doing, to even comment on it. I don't take it for granted. So let's just read a little bit here, and then I'm gonna hop over to Barney's piece that he wrote in 2016 at Mr. French's 90th birthday, or during Mr. French's 90th birthday. James Jim French, the founder of a weekly paper that has served as a mainstay for the Black communities in Charleston, South Carolina, nearly half a century, has died. He was 94 years old, y'all. French, who founded the Charleston Chronicle in 1971, died on July 31st, as per the Post and Courier. The Kansas native established an esteemed community paper after retiring from the Navy, crafting the publication into a go-to news source for African Americans in South Carolina's Low Country. The Chronicle soon became a respected institution among Charleston's Black leaders, shaping discourse on how to best address problems of economic distress and racial inequity as it advocated for the Black community. His greatest contribution, this is Barney Blakely right here. His greatest contribution was providing the vehicle that a lot of people use to wage their battles, said Barney Blakely, longtime Chronicle contributor, right? State Rep Wendell Gilliard, a Charleston Democrat, told the Post and Courier that French used to spend hours discussing the problems facing Charleston's communities, right? The Chronicle, I guess this is a Gilliard quote. Yeah. The Chronicle actually paved the way for my political career, Gilliard said. Anyone who aspired to be anything in the community in terms of serving the public, we would meet in Jim's office and talk about the community-related issues, jobs, crime, public housing. Those were the things on Jim's mind. So I want to stop that right there. I thought that was important to read, even though they pulled from the Post and Courier. I also wanted to, again, this is Barney's contributions. Let me see if I can enhance this. And for those who ask off screen, I guess, I don't know what the future holds. I've gotten calls about the future, what the future of this is Mr. French right here, y'all. I've gotten calls about what the future holds for it. I've been very vocal and think that it's time to reimagine the Chronicle. That's why I'm on Twitch and live streaming every day. I think it's important to reimagine. I think legacy media is going through similar, like people are just getting their information different ways now, you know? All right. So this is from 2016, but Barney wrote this last Saturday night. Celebrants wishing Charleston Chronicle founder James J. French a happy birthday as he reached the ripe age of 90. Roasted the award-winning journalist during dinner banquet, recognizing his more than 60-year career. I want to get down to, let me see. Yeah. Okay, let me read this right here. The salty Kansan moved to Charleston during the late 1960s while still in the Navy. He retired here in 1969 and 2 years later began publishing the Chronicle. Over the years, the publication has become South Carolina's premier newspaper, advocating for the Black community. As a member of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, the paper is nationally recognized for its cutting-edge journalism and coverage of issues pertinent to the Black community. So I'm going to invite y'all to go and Google this piece. Again, it was written back in 2016 when Mr. French was celebrating his 90th birthday. It's written by Barney Blankney. Barney's a grizzled curmudgeon. I believe he's rocking a flip phone. You know what I mean? Also, not a Black voice, but Andy Brack. Also, someone who I heard was interested in trying to reimagine what the future of the Chronicle would look like. I know there's some ownership battles going on. Not battles, but there's some details. But yeah. I think it's time to reimagine what the Chronicle could look like. I don't think being a physical paper, is. This is what I heard through the grapevine. They want to keep publishing some kind of form of the Chronicle, but tuck it into the Post and Courier. And I'm like, to me that'd be a slap in the face to anyone who's remotely familiar with the Post and Courier. Let me do this. Sid Bedingfield. Let me do this. This is why I'm gonna hop to the whole eviction stuff in a second. How do you spell Breitbart? There we go. I never know. I know I before E except after C. So I heard through the grapevine, Andy was like, "Oh, why don't we just, put some form of, why don't we just put some form of the Chronicle, a historically Black newspaper, in the Post and Courier?" And knowing the legacy of Charleston News, knowing the News and Courier, which is one of the earlier iterations of the Post and Courier. I'm like, that would be such a disservice to put that man, like, it was an independent entity from what I understand. I don't know about all the workings and the mechanisms, but the Chronicle was an independent news source, and to help the Post and Courier appear to be more, I don't know, diverse. The Post and Courier doesn't even hire enough Black and brown people, it'd be a slap in the face to do that, right? And you gotta remember this. Now, this is from 2017 by the Sid Bedingfield again. This is at your Charleston Library main branch. I remember I held it hostage for like a few months way back in the day. Check out Newspaper Wars, right? But Sid Bedingfield wrote this before Breitbart. There was a Charleston News and Courier, and so the News and Courier, and still you see vestiges of this practice from the Post and Courier. You see vestiges of this practice from the Civil Rights era. Still, it's still a thing, right? So, I love this piece. This is my go-to piece. All right. So I'm going to blow it up one more time so I can read it on my. Let me see. Boom. Okay. Love the ads. The ads are so great. Thanks. Okay. Conservatives who dislike Donald Trump like to blame the president and his Breitbart cheering section for the racial demagoguery they see in today's Republican Party. For example, the New York Times columnist David Brooks lamented the GOP's transformation over the past decade from a party that has always been decent. What? Wait, hold up. Let me read that again. Transformation of the past decade, a party that has always been decent on racial issues. The fuck? That's why I can't stand David Brooks. To one that has embraced white identity politics. All right. I respect Brooks and read him regularly, but on this issue, he and his ideological allies have a blind spot. I'm glad he agreed. They ignore the overwhelming evidence. Something's in my eye, y'all. They ignore the overwhelming evidence. I'm gonna read this with one eye. Overwhelming evidence showing the central role of racial politics, the central role racial politics played in the Republican Party's rise to power after the Civil Rights Movement, right? And he talks about, that book I just flashed y'all, right? Newspaper Wars. But what I'm trying to say, y'all, is that the Post and Courier specifically, or the News and Courier as it was called, trafficked in those white identity politics. Ooh, y'all. Hold on 1 second. I want to hop off, but I don't have to. I don't know what's in my eye. All right. Don't hurt. It's just watering. All right. So it's important to know the history of this paper and how it was used explicitly to not just advocate for conservatives. It was used specifically, as you can see right here. I know they like talking about, they like talking about this family right here. This is what Waring. Which Waring is this? Oh no, political reporter. This is political reporter William D. Workman, right? And you see what's behind Mr. Workman, right? So people like Workman and those, they weren't just conservatives. These are people who use white terrorism, white domestic terrorism, white nationalist terrorism. They use all of these tactics, and they had the paper. They had the News and Courier, which is now the Post and Courier. They used that paper to advance these point of view, a lot of propaganda, a lot of anti-black propaganda. And so I don't know, I say all that to say, if y'all see the Chronicle inside the Post and Courier, it's a sad day in Charleston history. All right, let me go back to my phone and whatnot. And I see you, El Cool J. I see you. Good morning, Joy Brown. All right, let me read the comment over here on Twitch. And the Post and Courier would absolutely not increase hiring practices of black reporters if Chronicle is a part of it. Exactly. Much like how the museum will be used eventually, y'all. Much like how the African American Museum will be used. It will be used to pacify us. Like, look, we did this bare minimum. You could argue that museum should have been erected when I was a kid. Real rap. Especially knowing the fact that Charleston has this huge role in the transatlantic slave trade, and Charleston's role in the trafficking of black bodies for the exploitation of labor and sex and all that other stuff. You would think that Charleston would have, did that museum a while, but now they're gonna take that museum and then like, look, we did this thing, be proud of us. It's delayed. It should have been done years ago, and it barely scratches the surface, and has nothing to do with justice. That museum has nothing to do with justice. It has cultural significance. It's important. It's something that we should embrace. We should go and visit. We should support the black leadership that is running that museum, that is helping to lead that museum. But in no way, shape, or form should we accept that museum and its opening mean anything. It has not changed the material circumstances for blacks in Charleston. If anything, fewer blacks are here to enjoy that museum because the museum is quite literally being built, or has been built right up against where scores and scores of black folks used to live, right? But who were evicted from that property. So yeah, if they did include the Chronicle, then they would say, oh no, we don't need to hire anybody else because we got the Chronicle, right? Right. So they check a box to El Cool J's statement. Thank you. Let me see over here, Mev. Good morning, Mev. Mev, you said education is the first step to reconciliation. Absolutely. I'm glad. I love when teachers log into the chat, because that's exactly like you can't have one without the other. So there's an express need for a more inclusive, diverse education, not just in our public schools, but like in the general public. And the city has really missed so many opportunities to educate the world on its history, on its history and its shameful past. They've really missed so many opportunities to do that. And education is one of those tools where you can use, you can do that or achieve that. Yeah, it would be. Oh, and AJ, you say it would be trash if they did absorb it. It would be trash. $100+ million that could have been used to improve conditions. Black people. I say word, and then like the whole. We'll have a whole live stream dedicated to the shenanigans with the museum. I don't want to though. I don't want to say and do anything that would impede the progress of its new leadership. That's a Black woman now leading the efforts within that museum. And so just out of just plain respect, and it might sound tribal, it's important for me in the interest of solidarity to let this woman, navigate this process. But I will talk about, without any hesitation, I will talk about what preceded her, right? As you go and get ready to consume, and I'm going to be up in there, right? I know I wasn't invited to no ribbon cuttings and nothing like that, right? Even though my last name is Gadsden and they building on the Gadsden Wharf, and the city is my birthright. I didn't get any invites to the ribbon cutting, but I will be there and I will be giving y'all my takeaways from the museum from top to bottom, as someone who loves history, as someone who loves a good museum, right? What up, B-Man? Education is needed in Congress. Look at you, B-Man. All right, so rest in peace, Mr. French. Do not let that Post and Courier absorb that paper. Andy Brack, go ahead and read this in the City paper. I'm sure Andy gives a nice little retrospect, but more importantly, listen to Black people talk about the Chronicle. I don't always see eye to eye with Mr. Gilliard here, but he has a very important perspective and an important relationship with the Chronicle. I'd be more interested to hear what Wendell Gilliard has to say about Mr. French than I would any white journalist here. I think it's important. I think that's important. So, but Andy Brack did definitely, I'm sure Andy Brack is a capable person, capable writer. Go ahead and check out his piece as well. Let me see where we want to go now. So we want to hop into evictions. So we got some encouraging news yesterday. Look at me. Is this Lord, y'all can see what I was watching. We're going to get to this. Front page of the paper, of the Post and Courier. But let's get to eviction. So we got some news last night regarding evictions. And I want to go... no shade to AOC, but they really try to act like AOC was like a prominent... Like Cori Bush wasn't out there camped out in a lawn chair for like 4 or 5 days. Like, how long was she out there? From Friday to yesterday? From Thursday? So here we go. Let's just watch this.
For letting those protections expire over the weekend. The order.
And I know this is corporate media. We gonna get to we're gonna get to some other stuff. We're gonna let Shep just kind of give us the broad strokes though. It's important. All right.
The CDC director just signed a new 60-day eviction moratorium after facing days of backlash from progressive Democrats for letting those protections expire over the weekend. The order applies to counties with substantial and high levels of COVID spread. The Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush has been sleeping on the Capitol steps to pressure the Biden administration into extending that moratorium. This afternoon, the Congresswoman celebrated the anticipated announcement alongside fellow Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
There's no reason why people should be in a position to where they're hurting right now.
We're talking about 11 million Americans across the country behind on rent, 1 in 6 renters.
You cannot have these people lose their homes. Now they have a fighting chance.
Well, the president admits that the move will likely face legal challenges. The Supreme Court back in June ruled any moratorium extension would have to go through the Congress. House Speaker
And so we talked about that yesterday, right? James Clyburn, along with Nancy Pelosi, was like basically saying, "Yo, CDC, do what we should be doing more, but I'm gonna need y'all to, come out here and do this because we're not gonna do it, right?" So they put it on the CDC and all that. So we'll see what the uphill challenges look like. Now we're going to shift to how this impacts us in South Carolina, right? But let's look at, let me see, let's just do this because let me just watch this real quick. So this is just Elizabeth Warren.
I'm so happy for all of us. I just, all the people.
I'm gonna let y'all know I'm still in love with Elizabeth Warren. I don't care. You're not my mom and dad. You can't tell me who to love.
And that's exactly right. And all those they all their mamas and all their daddies. They get to stay in their homes and keep their lives put together. But it's also all the people who get on the front lines and they just need to see.
I'm telling you, don't nobody know Mike is hot better than Elizabeth Warren. I seen it close up. You hear her? She's not just congratulating Corey. She went into a whole thing. Hey, y'all know I just love when politicians are good. Even like the ones that I don't even agree with, if they good politicians, oh my goodness. All right, so I wanted to get to let me see. It was a PBS NewsHour. Here we go, right here. So we're gonna get into this, and then we're gonna switch to how this impacts folks in South Carolina and North Charleston specifically. Let me go back to Facebook real quick and go back to the whole education comments we talked about in terms of helping people understand and contextualize Charleston's history, Charleston's shameful past in history during the time of enslavement. Mev, you says, which is why the gatekeepers are losing their minds with critical race theory, right? So there's this to B-Man's, I know you co-sign about the education being needed. Yeah, I think we're seeing our education system fail over and over again when it comes to talking about those issues. Right. Okay. All right. So let me see. Good morning on Twitch. Y'all lighten it up. The St. Louis Dispatch, this is L Cool J on Twitch. The St. Louis Dispatch wrote a disparaging piece on her a couple of days ago saying that Cori Bush's actions were childlike and performative. She made things happen. It's so funny. Like, first of all, if you're in politics, you better specialize in the performative. If you're in politics, now you need to make sure you reinforce all those antics, and this is not an antic. I don't consider this to be an antic. But you better reinforce all of that with some solid policy, for sure. But politics should be performative. You should be out there. It's all about getting. It's all about you grabbing hold of the narrative around maybe your issues, your constituency. It's all about you getting out in front of key stories that impact your constituencies. So you better. If you're progressive, and we haven't had a conversation here, but I've had this conversation in my private circles about the squad and their inability to actually do shit, really go out there and has the questions arise, like, has the squad been co-opted by the moderates? We know that a Pelosi and a Clyburn, I might talk a lot of shit here because I'm just a girl sitting in her apartment, but we know that they wield a lot of power and that they can muzzle you in ways that we'll never see. But there's ways that to really corral the progressive left, and we've seen it. You've seen it in the shifts. Like, you might see AOC and she might her messaging on certain issues might still sound progressive, but there's real debate about whether or not the squad has been co-opted, and if they haven't been, for lack of a better word, if they've not been politically neutered, right? And so I'm saying all to say that you better get out there, Cori Bush, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Tlaib, all of y'all better get out there and grab hold of this issue, because this impacts the very people who put you in office. So yeah, you expect that. But yeah, it's so crazy how you get as if McMaster flying down to your point, El Cool J, as if McMaster flying down to the border, to the Mexican border, in like some sort of windbreaker and combat boots, as if that's not performative. To talk to the South Carolina, what was the National Guard that's keeping the border safe, whatever, like that's not a fucking performance. And I love how when black women do a thing, right? When black women engage in politics and grab a hold of the messaging, I love how that, again, I said this in my critique of Meg Kennard's, she vented on the SC Lee podcast last week. She vented about how she she got a lot of criticism for her coverage of both Mia McLeod and Cunningham's campaign. And Gavin Jackson was doing this really weird thing where he was like a hype man in the back. And so he was like, he was just defending Meg as opposed to laying out how fair the coverage is and how they work hard to avoid bias, yada, yada, yada. He did this thing that almost made me think that there was a lot of language to me that was coded that made me feel like they were infantilizing Mia McLeod, or saying that maybe whenever there's some sort of I don't want to take too many liberties. I don't want to step out too much, but there was just some coded language for me that triggered me because I've heard people liken me to a child. I've seen it. I felt it. I know when I hear it. Almost as if you're not entitled to rage, you're not entitled to outrage, and you can't handle it. Black people, you can't handle it. I'm like, no, we're just entitled to just as much rage and outrage and passionate, discourse. We're entitled to do that and participate in that just as much as that, that knucklehead over there who's an anti-vaxxer, anti-masker, right? So St. Louis Dispatch should be ashamed of themselves for what they read. I didn't read it, L. Cool J, but it sounds ridiculous. And to your point, and to KCJ18's point here on Twitch, it worked. It worked, right? It worked. Okay. So let's see. Let me see. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to watch this piece from PBS NewsHour about the eviction crisis.
The Biden administration is announcing a new, more limited moratorium on evictions tonight. It will apply to counties experiencing substantial and high levels of COVID transmission and will expire on October 3rd. More than 6 million people are behind on their rent, and there's been great concern that too many could face life-changing choices if evicted during this pandemic. The Supreme Court had struck down a ban on evictions that finally expired this past weekend. But today, the Centers for Disease Control issued a new order. Democrats in Congress who had pressed hard for a new moratorium celebrated, saying they had changed the political dynamics in just a few days. That included Congresswoman Cori Bush of Missouri, who once faced homelessness herself, and New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
It also goes to show that I think the typical laws of physics that we think about in politics, there's no way you can do anything when Congress is in recess. There's no way that we can get it done. On Friday, they said fat chance. On Saturday, they said you're doing this in vain. On Sunday, they said maybe we can do something about this. And, lo and behold, a couple days later, thanks to just the people-powered direct action and just, honestly, just the stubbornness for a better world.
Stephanie Sy has the latest on this eviction breaking news tonight.
Judy, the new moratorium will limit how many people could be evicted, and it's said to be aimed at helping renters in areas that are especially hard hit by COVID. In addition, Congress already has authorized $46 billion that could be used for rental assistance to help those in trouble and facing debt. But just a small fraction of that money, roughly $3 billion, has been allocated and is making its way down to renters and their landlords. A number of advocacy groups and a growing number of progressive voices in Congress had pressured President Biden to enact a new moratorium and fight for it in court if need be. And the president said today he is not yet sure if it will survive legal challenges. Let's get some reaction to the news and take a deeper look at what people are facing on the ground. Zach Newman is with the Colorado COVID Eviction Project and joins me now. Zach, thank you so much for your time. So assuming this temporary eviction moratorium can be extended, what will this mean for people you work with?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and good to be here to talk about the moratorium. The extension of the moratorium will immediately help families in our community. It means that lawyers representing tenants at risk of eviction actually have real defenses to use in court. And more importantly, it means that the $46 billion allocated by the Biden administration has the opportunity to reach renters before it's too late.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there because I thought that was a really good way to just kind of break it down a little bit. All right, and now I'm gonna shift gears. So what I wanted to do was talk about, first of all, let me pull up the front page of today's paper, the Post and Courier. Let me see. Boom, boom. This is bananas. All right, this is the front page of today's paper, y'all. Yeah, we gonna get to this bolo rap bullshit. We gonna get to this. Cause I was like, what the hell is this? And I love how they liken it to Spider-Man. It literally says lasso. So you literally couldn't give the Wonder Woman, who has a magic lasso. You like, I'm sorry, it's so petty, but like they characterize, oh, this Spider-Man, like, I'm like, if you're gonna reach for any superhero, it's Wonder Woman. Duh. Anyway, this is the front page real quick. And I was looking for eviction moratorium headlines on the front page, and I didn't see that. Now it might be included inside. I didn't see it. New park up there. I think this is in Marion. Park. And then you got the bolo wrap take the whole front page, right? Ooh, new non-lethal restraints. They love investing in more shit that they could use for during their use of force bullshit. Mount Pleasant also is joining Charleston and coming up with dumb new protest rules and shit. But yeah, nothing on. Let me see. Senators won't call for the release of 400. Yeah, okay. This was interesting. And we're gonna try to get to this. But let me see. Of course, wham. Let me move it over. Here we go. Senators won't call for the release of $435 million. Towns seek immediate access to COVID aid. So as we're getting new news on the moratorium extension and how that $46 billion need to reach people, this is what broke out of Columbia yesterday, according to Sienna Adcox. Columbia, South Carolina senators declined to join with small town officials in calling for immediate access to $435 million in federal COVID aid, saying they're more concerned with doing what they can to coordinate billions in spending statewide than letting the money flow to local governments quickly. Wow, let me read it again. South Carolina senators declined to join with small town officials in calling for immediate access to $435 million in federal COVID aid, saying they're more concerned with doing what they can to coordinate billions in spending statewide than letting the money flow to local governments quickly. I love this state. Oh, this state. All y'all from Ohio coming down here, welcome. You about to move here? This is how we work here. We're so goddamn regressive. It doesn't make any sense. They'd rather let the Biden administration's money just like sit there. They'd rather just refuse to take this aid. They'd rather just refuse to give folks access than actually just like, and like Biden said this yesterday, you won't hear me agree a lot with Biden, but when he told those conservative governors, just get out the way. If you don't want to help nothing, get out the way so we can help then. I so agree with that. Like, get out the way, DeSantis. Get out the way, McDisaster. Get out the fucking way. South Carolina's 254 municipalities of fewer than 50,000 people are collectively slated to receive $435.1 million through Congress's American Rescue Plan, but their shares are tied to the states. Damn. The towns can't get their money until Governor McDisaster officially asked the United States Treasury to release the $2.5 billion the legislature controls. God damn. So where's our Cori Bush? Where's our Cori Bush camping out? Remember when I did this is my most popular video live stream that I did on Twitch, most popular on Twitch, got over 1,000 views, which for me is huge. Was too blue to critique, like why we won't make our lawmakers, like why we're so hesitant, why liberals, let me just say that, why liberals are so reticent to like push for better representation. And so, you know, I'm not saying where's not Cori Bush, like they have to literally do what Cori did, but you'd expect some sort of vocality. You expect some sort of outcry from our Democratic lawmakers. We know this is a red state. We know who controls the legislature. However, you expect to hear some messaging. But let me keep reading this, at least the front page, because I didn't queue up this article. I'm gonna go back to Facebook real quick and see Joy Brown, when they say those things, They show us that their struggling constituents aren't the priority. Their eyes are on the big money. Absolutely, Joy. Couldn't agree more. Yeah. All right. And so, yeah, Mev, I guess you tagged Marvin Pendarvis, Marlon Kimpson, J.A. Moore, and Crystal Matthews. Hello. Oh, I got that Mick Disaster from Whiskey Neat, and a bunch of people on Twitter. Yes. Anyway. Oh, yeah. I want to make sure I cite my sources. All right. Let me go back to this. All right. So, again, South Carolina's 254 municipalities of fewer than 50,000 people, I'm rereading it for effect, are collectively slated to receive $435.1 million through Congress's American Rescue Plan, but their shares are tied to the states. The towns can't get their money until McMaster officially asked the United States Treasury to release the $2.5 billion to the that the legislature controls. Right, the Republican governor is working with legislative leaders about how to provide synergy, in incentivizing local governments to pair with state. What does that sound like? You trying to get a cut? Incentivizing local governments to pair with the state on projects such as water. Oh, you want to cut. Okay. Projects such as water and sewer improvements and extending broadband, right? Said Marcia Adams, director of the State Department's administration. Let me scroll down. Administration, who answers to the governor. Okay. Oh my God. This is embarrassing. I didn't get the whole article up, but this is, wow. Senators of both parties agreed at the discussion. What? Okay. Wait. So Governor McDisaster wants synergy and how the local governments can work together with the state on projects like sewer and water improvements, extending broadband, said Marcia. Is it Marcia or Marcia? Marcia or Marcia Adams, director of the state's Department Administration, who answers to the governor. Senators of both parties agreed at a discussion meeting on August 3rd with that approach. Okay, so this is a Democrat right here. I think it's more than get the money and give it to us, says Senator Nikki Seltzer. Setzler, Democrat, West Columbia. Isn't that predominantly black? I don't know if West Columbia is fine. Okay, well, anyway, Nikki Setzler says it's more than just get the money and give it to us. Okay. Adding lawmakers need to be reasonable and responsible and diligent. Oh, if that ain't some bullshit, y'all. If that ain't no bullshit. Oh my God. Wow. We still dealing with a pandemic. And they said local lawmakers, right? At the top of the story, it says that local lawmakers have been crying, right? South Carolina senators declined to join with small town officials calling for the immediate release of the funds. Y'all need to give Nikki a call. West Columbia? Y'all need to give Nikki a little call, a little ring-a-ding-ding. I see you, Mev. Foghorn Leghorn. Another problem, AJ on Facebook, another problem is allowing the GOP to continue to maintain a stranglehold on power, right? And like we just, this is horrible. Ugh. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. All right, so let me close that out. Yeah, we need better representation, and like if Nikki and other Dems, if Nikki Setzler and other Dems do have a legitimate reason for not releasing this money to the smaller municipalities, I'd really like for them to get out in front of that messaging. But because we don't require nothing of our, we just see the D and we just like set it and forget it. I think it's important to ask, these Democrats like why. And to Mev's point, Mev tagged or cited, I don't know if you tagged Meg, but you cited J.A. Moore, Marvin Pendarvis, Crystal Matthews, Kimpson. We need to ask some critical questions. That's at a time where evictions and whatnot, it's so much uncertainty. So let me see. So going back to the eviction, we talked about the eviction moratorium provides relief to people who are renters, right? But we know we have an affordable housing issue in this state, and we also know that North Charleston leads the country in evictions. As per think tanks, or this is from the Princeton University's eviction lab. I've cited this data in previous live streams. I wanted to bring it up again. Let me see if I can make it bigger, just in case. I know it's pretty big already. Here we go. All right, so right here, eviction lab, the number one top evicting large cities in the United States. Ding, 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 ding. And look how far out and ahead we are. Look how far out ahead we are of Richmond, Virginia, Hampton, Virginia, Newport News. Those are all blackity black places. Jackson, Mississippi, blackity black. Used to be black when my sister used to go to Norfolk State. Look at Columbia. Columbia makes top 10. I forgot that. Columbia's in the top 10. Ooh. We got 2 cities, y'all, in the top 10. Woo. Right? So this says right here, viewing the 2016 eviction rankings for locations across America. Scroll through the list or use the search bar to find a place. Yeah. We already did that. But that's bananas. That's bananas. Wow. Top 10. So knowing that this is the reality, we know that affordable access to affordable housing is an issue. We know that these landlords have been filing the eviction paperwork. They've been moving forward regardless of a moratorium or not. We know that these landlords are still trying to get these folks evicted from these properties, because that they want to get those new tenants in, because the market rate now is like right through the roof. So they want to kick you. They not only want to kick you out because, hey, you're behind on your rent because of the pandemic and all that, and we're heartless. They also want to kick you out because you were paying rent that is not what they can command more now with the market. So it's like double injustice right there with that. Let me see. I wanted to get to not some new reporting, but some more perspective on, let me see, some options, right? Yeah, I want to talk about this. I want to use this video right here. This is from like a year ago, I believe. We're going to talk about the history of redlining as well. We're going to talk about the lack of affordable housing. I believe, Marvin Pendarvis is featured here. And I definitely want to feature Marvin Pendarvis because his voice has been one of the more prominent voices in this issue, especially, when it comes to North Charleston and evictions and all of that. So let me get to this right here.
Enacted what they're calling a stay.
This is old. No, this is old. This is too old. This is when the moratorium was first enacted. There was oh, I know what it is. It's not video. It's okay. Let me pull up some reporting that I downloaded this morning. Download Charleston results. Here we go. This is from Channel 2 News, but this was via Newsbank. Again, use your library card, y'all, to access this news. So, okay. So this was from yesterday, from WCBD News, Channel 2, NBC affiliate. According to Princeton University's eviction lab, how about that? Eviction lab in 2016, the city of North Charleston had the highest eviction rate in the U.S., highest eviction rate in the U.S., with an eviction average of almost 7 times higher than the national average. Researchers from the eviction lab have collected and analyzed evictions and housing information for over 20 years. Their latest findings show landowners in the state of South Carolina have filed 6,905 eviction notices between March, so this is right when the pandemic started, March 15, 2020, and July 25th of this year. So they see how I'm saying 7,000. Look, the headline of this story was almost 7,000 evictions filed in South Carolina since the pandemic, y'all, right? All right, researchers from, okay, I already did that. Let me go down. The near 7,000 statewide eviction filings took place within the time the state held its own eviction moratorium and the succeeding moratorium from the CDC. Although the eviction notices did not stop during the federal eviction moratorium, researchers with the eviction lab say filings in the state remained below historical average. So they dipped down a little bit, but they still were going on. It's still 7,000, still nearly 7,000 people, 7,000 eviction filings during the pandemic, which is wild. All right, the non-stopping trend of eviction filings and the end of the federal eviction moratorium, which we know now has been extended to 60 days, have prompted state lawmakers to find solutions to disperse the repressed rental assistance. Read it again for effect. The non-stop trend of eviction filings and the end of the federal eviction moratorium have prompted state lawmakers to find solutions to disperse repressed rental assistance funds. Eviction lab researchers say domestic violence, hello, South Carolina, come on. Eviction lab researchers say domestic violence victims, families with children, and low-income women, all right, especially poor women of color, have a high risk of eviction. I think we all know that to be true, right? I don't think we needed eviction lab to say it, but it helps. It damn sure helps to have such an esteemed research entity pretty much confirm what we already know, right? All right, so there's a link here. If you're looking for resources to help, if you're facing eviction, you can visit the following link. It's right here, y'all, evictionlab.org/questions/. And now I know there's gonna be some other, look, I'm not, if y'all want to drop in the chat, what other resources in Charleston are available. If you're on Facebook and you're able to drop in the chat your group, I don't know, B-Man, if you're still watching, listening, I don't know, drop in the chat resources you think people could benefit from to help them get access to the resources, these repressed, what do they call it? Repressed rental assistance funds. And this is all intentional, y'all. They don't want you to get, they don't want the general public, the people in need, to gain access. And you're saying, well, Mika, that's just like you kind of subscribing to this sort of victimhood mentality when you say something like that hyperbolic. But honestly, if what you permit is what you promote, right? So if you permit, if you're allowing these agencies to not, if you're allowing things to happen the way they are, this is what you're promoting, right? This what you're allowing is what you're actually promoting. Show me the opposite. Show me that you're working hard. McMaster, show me that you're actually working hard to make sure that people get access to these funds. I said it yesterday. I said it before yesterday. I'm gonna say it again. It's not always effective to compare South Carolina to other states, especially blue states, right? But God damn it, I just came back from Jersey. I just came back from Pennsylvania. I just came back from the New York metro area. I just came back from the Philly metro area. When I tell you that these governments are actively campaigning, there are state-sponsored PR campaigns directing people to all types of COVID assistance, COVID resources, testing resources. It's on terrestrial radio, it's on local news, it's on independent, it's on cable access programming. There are so many voices, but specifically from the state and from local governments, there are so many initiatives being sponsored from these entities. And I heard this morning on CBS this morning, as it came on. They talked to a doctor about, it might have been PBS, but whatever it was. They're saying like this around the mask mandates and all that, and how like now New York City is requiring, if you want to go inside, you're going to require proof of vaccination before you can go inside an indoor restaurant. And how that's like really controversial to conservatives. Is very controversial. It's kind of controversial too for me too, for a number of other reasons. But anyway, the person was talking about how moves like that, it shows you that this is not a political issue. This is not a political issue. This is not a red or blue issue. This is a public safety issue. And if governors like McDisaster and DeSantis and old boy in Texas, Abbott, if these governors would position it to their bloodthirsty, rabid, Trump-loving base, if they would just position it as a health crisis and these are health solutions, you would argue that they get out. It'd be a win-win. Your constituency gets healthier, and you putting money in people's pockets. You know, it's a win-win. People are healthier. People are less likely to come down with the cases of COVID or to die from COVID infection. But anyway, it's a public health issue. Good morning, Nicole. Hey, Jessica. Send you some of that, Mid-Atlantic. Here you go, Jessica. Right? And like I said this to B-Man yesterday. I'm like, yo, do you think, because B-Man is from Jersey too, but from a conservative part, I'm like, you know, do you think it's ineffective for me to keep saying that? And he was like, we need to imagine. You said something to the effect, B-Man. We need to imagine, you know, what government could look like here, even if we don't have that type of leadership. You can at least see, you know, what other types of approaches look like. So I'm going to continue to lift up those other places, right? Cider, donut, something. Y'all don't even get me talking about the damn Delicious Orchard in New Jersey, y'all. As a kid, my mama used to take us to Delicious Orchard. That cider, that apple pie. I'm gonna just leave it there. It's almost that time too. All right. Here, I'm gonna go back to Facebook. Joy Brown, you put another. Let me see. It's not okay. So when I said that I don't want to, when I was speaking so broadly, you told me, thank you, Joy. It's not victim mentality. The funds are there! ! They passed the funds, but they won't release them! ! Clutching that money tight. That is supposed to go to the people who need it. Absolutely. Thank you, Joy. Thank you. Right? Nicole, I know, right? Nicole, we missed when I was on hiatus. We missed, it was like, Jersey. It was a special New Jersey holiday. Like, what was it? Nicole, New Jersey state, whatever. We missed it. I'm supposed to celebrate. Justin here on Twitch. You say it has to be that they don't see the people who need assistance as necessary. Exactly that. It's voting and donors that we're content. It's voters versus donors. That's part of it. I'm assuming, but I also know that this is the way the right also sees its base. But the fact that Democrats in leadership co-sign McMaster's decision, and again, you know, didn't take this as an opportunity to get McMaster on another failure during this pandemic. Nikki Setzler, the fuck? The fact that you didn't use this, even if, like, let's say you agree with certain aspects of what McMaster is trying to communicate as to why he won't release this money, this COVID money, right? At a time where there's 7,000 evictions filed in South Carolina. Nikki Setzler, if you did agree with like a portion of what McMaster said, you're a Democrat, boo. You're a Democrat. Y'all good at acting. Like Democrats should be good at like at least posturing. At least give me some of that WWE energy you employ around, I don't know, abortion. Because when it comes to heartbeat bill, you can't get a Democrat off a microphone. When it comes to heartbeat bill, because it's such a emotional issue. Yes, we know there's some money flowing down there too. There's some money flowing. That's why they're so vocal. We know there's some money flowing from your favorite nonprofits that use the color pink. I ain't mad. I'm just saying. You see, when people get activated, they get activated when there's an incentive. Usually money is the incentive. But you would think a Nikki or whomever would have gotten out in front of this and used McMaster's inactivity, his inability, his unwillingness to funnel these funds to where it's most needed. You would think you would use that politically, but again, fumble. Oh yeah, New Jersey Day. I got you, Nicole. All right, there's no incentive for them to, and Nicole, you're echoing Justin's comment, right? You would think, so they don't see the voting base. They're not even afraid of the voting base. This is how Ross can get on a microphone and diminish people, because they don't really fear. I think Ross is really comfortable because of his district, but they don't really fear public sentiment or public outcry. All right. So maybe we got like a nonprofit to funnel tens of thousands of dollars to the State House to some Democrats. Maybe they become animated around this issue. But you're not seeing it. Like, Democrats always fumble the ball. Always. Now, I'm gonna not close it because I want to open up another PDF around housing. I thought there was some good coverage. And we better have some good news coverage. What up? What up, Australia Fuega? Okay. Thank you for the support. I wanted to, let me see. So we read that one, the 7,000. Here we go. So here's another story that was out this weekend regarding the evictions. I think this is from, let me see. I was trying to see if this is from like the front page. But let's go ahead and read this. I'm gonna expand it. Here we go. All right. August could bring a flood of evictions. All right. But South Carolina still has the millions to help renters. Okay, this is where there's a resource here. Yeah. This is the resource. So again, if you know any resources, drop them in the chat. Let me see what y'all say. What's up, Allie? Let me see, Allie. Good morning, Allie. Yeah, give me some of that WWE. For real, get out there. Like, what you gonna do, McMaster? Come on, Hulkamaniacs. Get out there, Democrats. Come on. All right. It's nice to see you, Allie. All right. So at the beginning of July, more than a quarter of adult renters in South Carolina were behind on rent payments. And at the end, let me blow it up instead of struggling. I'm gonna be struggling. All right. At the beginning of July, more than a quarter of adult renters in South Carolina were behind on rent payments. And at the end of the month, the national moratorium on evictions expired, right? August is expected to mark the beginning of a wave of evictions across the state and nation. But meanwhile, billions of federal dollars to help pay back rent and utilities. What's up, new subscriber? What? Stephen Bannon? Oh, wait, somebody gifted it to him? Nicole, you always gifting people stuff. Welcome, Stephen. Oh, we're going to get to some Stephen news. All right. So anyway, August is expected to mark the beginning of a wave of eviction across the state and nation. But meanwhile, billions of federal dollars to help pay back rent and utilities remain available, including hundreds of millions in South Carolina. Time is running out. If you're not paying rent and thinking that nothing bad is going to happen, eventually it will, said Brian DeRoy with Try It United Way. First of all, Brian, I don't like the way you said that. It's not if you're not paying rent and thinking nothing bad is going to happen to you. No, Brian, people are unable to pay rent. This is why Try It United Way get on my goddamn nerves. If people are unable to make ends meet and you have an express need for relief, just tell them to call 211, bitch. Like, what? Why would you? I don't like when people talk about that's why I like shifting the language from like, oh, is she homeless or is she housing insecure, right? Like we have to start changing language and changing the way we talk about people who are impoverished or people who have an express financial need. And I'm sure Brian is a fine young person. I don't know. I don't know who Brian DeRoy is, but if you're not paying rent and thinking nothing bad is going to happen, eventually it will. Shut up. Like, who wants to not pay rent? Who with money doesn't want, like, I got money right now. I pay my rent this month. Like, what? Like that's just so dumb. And then right here, be proactive as if. And I said this yesterday. I am in transition. I no longer work at my previous employer. I wanted to examine, okay, right now I have not even technically, I lost my income, right? Like I don't have the income that I had before. And I don't mind saying this publicly, y'all. I'm fine. But so I'm like, okay, what type of rental assistance could I get, right? As a renter. And the process was not easy. Right. And this is a person with resources. This is a person who has some good friends and good places. This is a person who has stayed abreast on these issues even before there might have been a need for me. Right. And it was not an easy process. So that saved me with that whole be proactive shit. Shout out to Slade, who wrote the article, who included resources, including this one. Be proactive, call 211. And so what Try It United Way will do here, they will help you walk through the process. So whatever, call 211, y'all, or go to one of their resource centers. Don't go to Monk's Corner. Just hold on. Let me zoom out. I don't like that. Be proactive, as if poor people are just out here just chilling, waiting for the man to come in, waiting for the sheriff's department to come and put him out on the street. All right. It says right here, and that's the thing. Trident doesn't process applications for rent assistance, right, or write checks, but they help navigate you through the process, right? The federal assistance can go to pay overdue rent and utility bills all the way back to March 2020. The money goes to landlords and utility companies. To get help, tenants must have incomes no higher than 80% of the median income for their county, based on the family size, right? So that's not a high hurdle. This is what? That's not a high hurdle. He's saying it's not a high hurdle. Income-wise, a single person in Charleston County could earn up to $46,000 and qualify. So that he got a somewhat of a point. But I believe what stopped me, because now I'm at essentially zero income, right? At this time. So what stopped me was I had questions around, well, am I eligible because I'm not back on my rent? I got rent money for the foreseeable future, but I could use some assistance. And then my other question was, for me, was there was a stipulation saying, like, it sounded like they say that you couldn't earn any money to be eligible. And so I know I earn money on Patreon. I know I earn money through Twitch. And so I couldn't have a notary sign the thing saying that I don't make any, like, it was just, to me, it wasn't clear cut. But the income threshold is pretty clear cut in terms of the eligibility. But there's some other eligibility details that I couldn't figure out. Right. But I will be pursuing some of these numbers here. So the state's Housing Finance Authority, SC Housing, is in charge of rent and utility assistance for residents of most counties, and can be reached at 803-336-3420. Again, South Carolina Housing, which won't help you if you're in Charleston. Okay, look, let me scan down, because that don't help you in Charleston, because they're going to tell you, no, we don't handle your county. So the largest counties, right? The largest counties, Anderson, Berkeley, Charleston, Greenville, Horry, Richland, and Spartanburg, receive direct federal funding and are running their own programs. Their residents should contact their counties directly, not SC Housing. That's what I learned the hard way. I went to SC Housing, and then I'm like, nope, it's not even a thing. So then I had to go to Charleston region. So that means Charleston County residents should call 855-452-5374. 855-452-5374. All right. So David Slade wrote that, I believe, this weekend, on August 1st. And I thought that was very helpful as well to help understand that. I'm going to close it out now. So let me get back to the videos. And I wanted to, this is an older video, I believe from 10 months ago, from I think this is the Housing Authority, but it talks about affordable housing in South Carolina. But let me get to the chat real quick, because I see y'all on Twitch, at least I see it's very active chat. Hey, Stephen Bowden. Yep. Hey. All right. Let me see. Language matters. Thank you, D. Right? Like they're doing it on purpose. Thank you, Nicole. Oh my God. It's like, come on. Let me see. D, what else you say? Is anyone else? Oh, anyone else's audio? Don't scare me. Yo, I sound good. My mic sound okay. If you're on Facebook, just give me a thumbs up. Let me know my audio is sounding fine. Like D's having some issues. Thank you. I appreciate you posting my Twitch on your Facebook group. Thank you. Yes, and they can always go back and watch it again if they can't watch it in real time. I know people getting ready to go to work, and y'all know I'm running past 9 nowadays. Okay. So I wanted to get to this video because I thought it was important to help understand the lack of affordable housing in South Carolina. So this is NBC, excuse me, not NBC. I believe it's CBS News 19 WLTX out of Columbia, and it's an older conversation. But let me just play a little bit.
We have the highest.
Let me rewind it.
For the first time in almost 20 years, a comprehensive study is showing the extent of the housing crisis in South Carolina. Research from the group SC Housing has revealed several key findings, like South Carolina has the highest eviction rate in the nation. The average renter cannot afford a basic 2-bedroom apartment in 41 out of 46 counties, and thousands of people experience homelessness on a nightly basis. According to HUD, in order to rent a 2-bedroom apartment without spending more than 30% of your income, you'd have to make $17.27 an hour. The average South Carolina resident only makes $13.25 an hour. The study also shows this housing crisis is costing taxpayers statewide $8.4 billion a year. So what's the solution, since this is where the conversation starts? J.R. Berry and Dr. Brian Grady, the Chief Research Officer with South Carolina Housing, take it from here.
Okay, Darcy, thank you so very much. Brian is joining us tonight to talk more about this issue. And Dr. Grady, let's talk about the numbers. What do they show about affordable housing in South Carolina right now?
Well, the numbers are pretty sobering, honestly. About a quarter of renters statewide are severely cost-burdened, which means they spend more than half their income on rent and utilities. We have the highest eviction rate in the country, and a number of communities like St. Andrews, it's the highest eviction rate of any place in the country for a place of its size. Yeah,
wow,
absolutely.
For a place of its size,
homelessness is an issue. 1 out of every 60 children, public school students in the state of South Carolina,
come on, teachers,
doesn't have a stable place to live. They're homeless or severely housing insecure.
Teachers, any teachers still listening on Facebook? I know y'all busy doing y'all thing. I know. If you could drop some context in there about what you've witnessed, what you're at liberty to share, about how perhaps housing insecurity impacts our students, I'd love for you to drop it in the chat.
Sort of the big number that comes out of the study is $8.4 billion. And $8.4 billion is the amount, if you add up basically the amount of spending that households cannot provide for basics, food, fuel, clothing. If you add that up, you get $8.4 billion. That's money that would go into the state's economy because it would be spent on essentials, but it basically means that money is either public spending, private charity, or personal deprivation.
Let me ask you what can be done about the lack of affordable housing. Right now, what can be done in South Carolina?
Well, I think where we're at is we need, SC Housing can't do it alone. This report is titled Beginning of a Conversation, and that's because it's going to take work from other policymakers at the state and local level. We're going to need to see engagement. We're going to need to see matching funds brought to the table. One of the things that SC Housing is definitely advocating for is House Bill 3998, which would be a state tax credit that would produce more affordable housing in the state.
Okay, and so also this is older, so if there's any mention of legislation and whatnot, it's more than likely not current.
South Carolina, so that would be a great resource for the Senate to take up next year.
Are there any resources available right now for people who are struggling to keep a roof over their head?
There are, certainly. One resource that we have as the authority, we have schousingsearch.com. So
this is from 2019. This was before, we got into the thick of things, right? But I thought that perspective, summing up the issue of affordable housing and how that impacts not just people who are purchasing homes, but renters, right? I wanted to then go back to another piece that's older. But again, this is from WSPA News 7. Lack of affordable housing costs South Carolina's $8 billion. And you heard the previous gentleman talk about that $8 billion number. So Marvin Pendarvis, I believe, is featured in this clip. So let's hear again in this date.
And I'm Gordon Dill.
So this is August 2019. Let's expand it.
And I'm Gordon Dill. Communities around South Carolina have been struggling to provide enough affordable housing.
That's right. The South Carolina State Housing Authority has compiled a detailed new study of the issue. Our Georgia Godfrey has.
So let me just time out. This is what kind of is so perplexing. So we're reading the recent news about how even Democratic lawmakers are on board with McMaster in terms of holding the money, the COVID relief money. This is money that if people don't want to go through or can't go through or are for some reason ineligible for these other housing assistance issues, people who probably been contending with this issue for quite some time, as these clips from 2019 kind of show us, this is also more argument. This is more fuel, or this is more evidence that these lawmakers need to release these funds to these local municipalities. And then us over here. So if we're talking about Charleston at the county level, and then of course at the city council level, we need to be able to advocate and say, hey, this is where we want the money to go. This is what we needed to do. These are the partners we trust on the ground. These are the people we trust. These are the nonprofits we trust to get us access to these funds. I mean, this is just more, this should strengthen your argument. If people oftentimes ask me, well, what should I say when I call? I don't feel comfortable telling people what to say, but I hope that people look at the clips that I've either curated or pull up, or clips or newspaper stories that we read together. They just, y'all, this is where I would never tell y'all to plagiarize in the classroom. I would never tell y'all to plagiarize if you're trying to go out here and be an intellectual public speaker. But if you're calling your elected officials, go ahead and plagiarize the reporter from the Post and Courier who's done really good coverage on the affordable housing affordability or inaffordability or the eviction crisis. Like, go ahead and just copy and paste. You don't have to come up with your own script. When it comes to advocating for yourself, if you see a salient point being made in the press, in the media, by either an informed official or someone on the front lines advocating for people in need, go ahead and plagiarize. I do that all the time. I'm like, well, in 2018, Senator Scott said it. I do that all the time. I can't always freestyle. You know what I mean? I can't always freestyle. I have to get, and that's what it's for, right? That's why it's important to show y'all, in all seriousness, to show y'all, to help y'all with the word power to advocate for yourself, but you don't have to create it from scratch, right? Oh, I sound like a modern woman. Yes. You don't have to create it from scratch. As I tell the men I date, I am the queen of fake and bake. I will go to Trader Joe's and get you that frozen whatever and put it in a nice casserole dish, act like I made it from scratch when I didn't.
As a look at what prompted the study and how lawmakers are trying to address the need.
I see you, Facebook.
Lack of affordable housing in the state has been an issue for the past few years, an issue South Carolina lawmakers are now trying to get in front of. South Carolina State Housing is on track to release a comprehensive study on the housing situation in South Carolina, specifically affordable housing.
There's a big tourism industry, a multi-billion-dollar tourism industry. And the reality is we have over 50 people that are moving to the low country a day. And so naturally, that's going to
Why they put that Chiron over his mouth?
Houses.
Why they put that Chiron over his face? Like, y'all could have definitely got a smaller Chiron. I knew it was Chiron at the bottom.
In order to accommodate those people. So
Representative Marvin Pendarvis says he sees the shortage of housing in his own district. The Charleston lawmaker and several others filed bills this session to increase tax incentives for affordable housing developments.
It requires developers, if they're going to build housing, to set aside a particular percentage of that housing development to be used towards affordable housing.
According to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, South Carolina is short more than 80,000 affordable housing units.
The annual household income in South Carolina needed to afford a two-bedroom rental home at fair market value is $34,080 a year. If you're working as in a warehouse, if you are working as a certified medical assistant, you may not be making $34,000 a year.
A shortage created by different obstacles, including approval of construction.
Not in my backyard is very prevalent.
Not in my backyard, so that's NIMBY. It's very prevalent. NIMBYism.
In a lot of communities, because residents that are already there don't see the value of affordable housing.
That final report is expected to be released later this
again,
month. And
this is from 2019, but again, it helps you kind of see, seeing what the crisis in terms of access to housing, access to affordable housing, understanding what it was in 2019. Then you compound that harm, you compound that crisis with COVID, with an economic downturn, right? So just imagine what it's like now for folks who are out there trying to purchase a home or stay in their home or stay in their rental unit. You can only imagine how that issue is now, what that issue looks like now. All right, so that being said, all right, I'm kind of like I know we did the Wayback Machine a couple times, and I got you on Facebook. Mev, I'm gonna read your comment. AJ and Joy, I'm gonna read your comment on Facebook. But we're gonna kind of again, Wayback Machine, we do that a couple times, but we forgot we're in this careening car, right? We're in this getaway car, right? Y'all are my co-conspirators. Y'all my getaway drivers. So we're gonna kind of turn the wheel a little bit. This is just like, just maybe making a left on a red light, making a left, illegal left, right? Because we want to talk about what also could be exasperating, or could be adding to these issues in terms of accessing either land, property. It also, I think this also shows, the next stuff I'm going to talk about shows, where our lawmakers' priorities are. I'm sorry, I'm trying to turn off what our lawmakers' priorities are and where they lie. But let me go back to Facebook because I wanted to read these comments. Okay, so Mev wrote a few minutes ago. Mev, you wrote, don't forget Act 388 passed on the buck to small biz and renters to make up lost revenue to benefit a small group of primary property owners, right? And then Mev, you commented on that, on your own comment. It says, and this list revenue has hurt. I don't know if you're just typing real fast. Has hurt public education. Okay, so it's hurt public education because it was originally going to public ed. Much like the TIF stuff, right, Mev? Much like the TIF stuff. Oh, okay, yep, I got you. So don't forget Act 388, y'all. Okay, so y'all look up Act 388, right? Pass the buck to small businesses and renters to make up lost revenue to benefit small groups of primary property owners. Keep that in mind, right? All right. And then AJ, you went on to say there's supposed to be the McKinney-Vento Act to help homeless students. However, this is when I asked, hey, people who work in education, how is this crisis potentially impacting students? All right, so there's supposed to be an act in place that would help students who are facing house insecurity, right? The amount and availability of funds to support the law is a major issue. South Carolina does not, this is according to AJ on Facebook, South Carolina does not adequately fund any social services programs. In public education, we have students who are oftentimes plagued with homelessness, but there's actually very little that you can do besides report it. I feel you on that. Joy Brown, you said housing struggles are not something we hear about enough. And when they are talking about, when they are talking about education discrepancies, some people take having a place to live for granted. Certain people don't want to talk about it because it makes their test scores look bad. Really? Huh. I didn't even think about that. Okay. All right. You says AJ, you say read about opposition to increasing density in a local area. Look at article in Post and Courier yesterday about the Tanner plantation. I will do that. And nudge me if I don't. Remind me via messenger if I don't. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yep. That's the same AJ. It's the same AJ. Estrella Fuega. Same AJ. All right. So again, we're going to careen the car a little bit. And to I think that was Joy's point. Let me see whose point was that about. No, that was Mev's point about Act 388, how they passed the buck, right? And who incurs the cost of paying or subsidizing, who's really incurring the costs behind a lot of mess when these big businesses should be helping to make things more affordable, right? All right, hold on. I already read that. Already read this. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to. Oh, yeah, we're going to get into the history of racist housing, Brookings Institute. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to this Bolo rap. All right. We're going to get to this. So back in, because, providing homes to people who need homes, right? And making sure those homes are accessible and affordable. We know that's not the priority of many of our lawmakers, not even our nonpartisan, so-called nonpartisan lawmakers, city council and whatnot, county council and all that jazz, right? Oh wait, county council's partisan, right? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, city council, y'all know that's not supposed to be partisan, right? So I am going to, okay. I said this at the beginning, but some of y'all might just welcome back. So back in 2019, I sent myself an article after I got a tip. Now, hold on. Let me see if I can pull up the tip without outing that person. I didn't get, my friend got the tip. The friend gave it to me. I was like, oh, this tip is mad fire. I need to talk about it. Yada, 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 right? Hold on. Oh, I know where I put it. So back in 2019, y'all. Okay. Try not to get nobody in trouble. Try not to get nobody in trouble. Recent. Let me see. I uploaded a lot. Ooh. Hold up. I love how somebody, I'm a answer, let her know. Hey, I'm doing my live stream on Twitch. I'm gonna call you later on. Okay, hold on, y'all. I gotta let me upload it. So I got this tip a minute ago, and I'm trying to. Ooh, hold on. Bear with me. Don't leave. Don't hang up. Don't go. I sent it to my friend yesterday because I'm like, remember you sent me this? Where you at? Here we go. And it's really good commentary that actually, to me, actually supports something that I was, when we talk about West Edge, when we talk about the TIF district, when we talk about robbing Peter to pay Paul, usually Peter is us, the working class folks here on the ground in Charleston. Paul is usually somebody wealthy. And so when we're talking about robbing Peter to pay Paul and whatnot, this old tip came back in my mind. So I'm trying to crop out that person's face, y'all. Hold on. I crop out their face a little bit. Cool. Now I'm going to send it to myself via Google Drive. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Come on. Let me upload it. Yes. Okay. Hit refresh. Should be there. Here we go. So I got this tip in 2019 from a friend out here in the field, if it lets me show it. Here we go. All right, so this is in regards to West Edge, right? So I remember I said this when Ross was saying it's just the same seven people. It's just the same seven people. Thank you, Nicole. It's just the same seven people, blah, 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 right? Yeah, but what Ross failed to acknowledge was that the people pouring your drinks at Hall's Chop House. I see you, El Cool J. I see you. The people pouring your drinks, the people pulling, the people working in food and bev, the people serving you your entrees, people turning down your bed. Like, we're in community with some of those people through a number of ways, right? And those people ear hustle. And the folks that can't do what we do, can't be out here, Friends of Gaza creaking it up, can't be out here on the front lines, they help us in other ways. And the truth can be said about what's going on in terms of workplace discrimination in food and bev. Shout out to everyone who floated me little inside nuggets about who out here engaging in shady practices. We talked about that with Mint Nightclub, right? In their practices. We talked about it with sexual harassment in these restaurants and whatnot. Like, so basically these issues that actually impact more than 7 people, Ross, the people these people actually care about it. They might not be out there in the streets, but they care about it. And so we got this little tip back in 2019, little insider information to help with this fight. The project West Edge was being funded by a company called ELV Associates, and the money behind it includes members of the British royal family, the Mr. Puginot Motors, right? One former Interior Defense Minister for Germany, and representative of the Saudi royal family, right? And this person worked one of the meetings in town, some person from Food and Bev, right? Right. So we got that little tip. And I remember when my friend sent it to me, I started looking up things, right? I started looking up, like, wait, what is this? What is that? Right? Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks for texting me while I'm on live. B-Man. All right. So, oh no, I can't walk and chew gum. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, okay, okay, I got it. I lost my train of thought. Why would he text me while he know I'm up here? Kind of distract me. All right. Billy Reese, South Carolina, Wilson. So yeah, nope. So I came across this article shortly after getting that little nugget from a worker in Food and Bev, right? All right. So much going on. Hold on, let me block these people off Twitch real quick. All right, blockity block. All right, and blockity block. It's okay. I love you, Tom. It's like, yeah. All right, so here we go. All right, I just banned you. Did I ban the wrong person? No. Okay. Hope I didn't ban. Let me see. Okay. All right. Hope I didn't ban anybody who wasn't supposed to be banned. All right. Cool. All right. So I came across this article after the other one, and I'm like, this is interesting, right? I know some of y'all, I lost some of y'all because I've been trying to find everything. All right, so I came across this is from the Daily Beast, written back in 2019. It says, ex-congressmen took your cash. They used it to help the Saudis and the Qataris. And I was like, interesting, right? And so this is written by Lachlan Marquet, right? So it talks about, Congressman turned lobbyist Jim Moran trying to recruit his former colleagues to put pressure on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Moran was doing so. Let me expand it so I can read it on my screen in front of me instead of that one. All right. So in the summer of 2018, Jim Moran was trying to recruit former colleagues to put pressure on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So again, so that little tip said Saudi Arabia in it, and it says ELV. It said ELV Associates in Saudi Arabia. So I'm like, and I'm like, then I found this article, like South Carolina's in here and somewhere mixing this mess too. So trying to recruit former colleagues to put pressure on Saudi Arabia. Okay, it says Moran was doing so on behalf of one of his clients, the government of Qatar. Let's do it again. Jim Moran, congressman turned lobbyist, right? Jim Moran was trying to recruit former colleagues to put pressure on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Moran was doing so on behalf of one of his clients, the government of Qatar, and he had a pot of money left over from his years of donation to his re-election campaign that he could steer to his lobbying targets, right? Okay. Throughout June, this is 2019, throughout June and July, Moran, a senior legislative advisor at the firm, yada, 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 yada. Hold on. Let me get to the pertinent part. Here we go. Okay. Reached out to at least a dozen House and Senate members of both parties as part of this effort. He provided them with suggested text for a letter, right? Which which he hoped the legislators would send to the Saudi ambassador to the United States, urging them to ease travel restrictions between Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Y'all know the blockade that existed, but so basically, the Maldives, the Saudis, all them kind of get like, it's like, yo, Qatar, we putting you on timeout. We put this blockade up in 2017. So that means you can't come into our airspace until you start, until you join us in dissing Iran. We're not going to bang with you. So Qatar, we're not going to let you fly your plane. So all your flights and all that tourism, everything you're trying to get for the World Cup coming up, we're going to put this blockade on you so you can't do stuff. And that blockade looked a lot like what happened in Cuba. Jesus, what happened in Cuba with whatever. So there were restrictions in airspace, restrictions in terms of trade on the ground, yada, yada, yada. So they got all these like American elected officials or whatever, former elected officials to kind of like help with some of this too, right? Whatever. Long story short. All right. So urging them to help ease. So they wanted Saudi to drop the blockade, to ease travel restrictions between Saudi Arabia and Qatar. I said Qatar. I don't know how y'all pronounce it, right? So one of the congressmen that he pitched was Charlie Crist, a Democrat of Florida. See, I told y'all DNR don't mean nothing, y'all. And I'm not saying anything, whatever. DNR don't mean nothing, y'all. All right? So I'm going to scroll down, right? I'm going to scroll down, right? Scroll down till I see SC. There you go, Bob Menendez. You know he going to take a bag. You know Bob Menendez going to take a bag. Democrat from, Okay, scroll down. Here we go. In early 2018, Miller began making overtures to the office of Representative Joe Wilson, a Republican from South Carolina, a member of the Congressional Caucus on Qatari American Economic Strategic Defense. Never knew that until I read this piece. Let me say it again. In 2018, Miller began making overtures to the office of Representative Joe Wilson, Republican, South Carolina, a member of the Congressional Caucus on Qatari American Economic Strategic Defense, cultural and educational partnership. So 2 things I get. I don't know if that's 2 or 1 or 3 or whatever. In February, Miller reached out about arranging a dinner meeting. It was the first of at least 10 contacts with Wilson's office over the following year, right? So that's kind of like, so now you see how South Carolina is figuring into this, right? Start putting it together. Qatari American Economic Strategic Defense, right? Put it together, right? And now I'm going to go in here. Let me see. And I'm going to go down here. And boom. Let me see. Nope, already had that open. Boom. Already had that open too. Hold on. I swear this is going to make sense, y'all. I swear to God, it's going to make sense. Here we go. So then, so I was reading that one article from the Daily Beast, right? And then I found this, right? Around the same time, right? So you see South Carolina entered in the chat. I swear this is going to make sense. I know I'm losing y'all. I know y'all want me to talk about Ross and whatever, right? So, okay. So I didn't know Wilson was on that thing, Qatari defense, yada, yada, yada. All right, so Qatar finalizing plans for a spy plane project in South Carolina. And I was like, what the fuck? What is Qatar doing over here? Like, why is this such a big thing? Like, what's going on? And then like, Mika, you were supposed to be talking about housing today. What are you trying to do? I don't know what I'm trying to do. I just know that I kept finding these stories. A web of money, says Nicole. This is wild, says Justin. Okay, you feeling me? Okay, you feeling the sister? Sounds good. Then I found this story from 2013 Qatar is suddenly investing heavily in the United States, bankrolling DC Center and other projects. And I'm like, what the hell? So I'm reading this story from 2013, written by Mark Fisher, the Washington Post, 8 years after Washington's biggest construction project in 2 decades. I know this is about Washington, D.C., but y'all going to see it in a second. 8 years after Washington's biggest construction project in 2 decades was launched, the city center was just a sad expanse of parking lots on 7 blocks of prime downtown real estate, a project paralyzed by the economic downturn. Y'all remember how that went down, according to city officials. Then came Qatar. All right, a tiny nation of sand dunes and salt lakes jutting into the Persian Gulf. Qatar has only about 250,000 citizens, but is also home to the world's largest natural gas field and therefore unimaginable wealth. Qatar's real estate investment arm decided in 2010 to pump $650 million into the city center in DC, y'all, becoming the main owner of $1 billion project on a site of the district's old convention center in Northwest Washington. Last week, the first 9 tenants moved into the city center. Okay, let's skip it down. Let's skip down, right? All right. Qatar had never invested in DC real estate before. Its spending spree did not stop there. The Qataris also invested in Chicago, where the group last year bought the Radisson Blue Aqua Hotel, yada, yada, yada. The group has said it will seek other American properties. Again, the group says it will seek other American properties. This year, Qatar bought Current TV for $500 million. Is that Al Jazeera? Yeah, and launched Al Jazeera. Y'all know Al Jazeera America, right? So Qatar launched, they the ones that own Al Jazeera America, right? In recent weeks, Qatar Airways announced plans to expand its U.S. service in 2014 by adding Dallas, Miami. So that's their airlines, right? But remember, the blockade came down in 2017, right? Because, Trump was friends with the Saudis. The Saudis was like, nah, we don't fuck with them. So Trump was like, all right, whatever, we gang, whatever, right? Boom, boom, boom. All right, so I found that, and I was just, again, showing you that Qatar is really investing in all these places throughout the country. So then I found this from the dude that goes to Cornell. I know, this is how my mind works, y'all. I found this from the dude that's going to Cornell a couple years ago, 2018. Qatar looks to take the lead in United States real estate investments by Gulf wealth funds, okay? So I found this, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? Okay, let me see if I can blow this up because it's really tiny font. Okay. All right, it says Inside the Gulf, part 4, I guess, of a series. Okay. While much of the news coming out of Qatar over the last few years has been its recent battle with neighbors Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, who established a blockade against it last summer, and its preparation for the upcoming 2022 FIFA World Cup. Y'all know that was a whole corrupt situation going on with that, right? All right, the tiny Arab nation in the Persian Gulf has been quietly establishing a substantial real estate portfolio of United States property through sovereign wealth fund. Then I was like, what? I know, I see the chat. I'm coming. Then I was like, okay, for real? They buying up mad land like this? And I thought about it to my aunts, what my aunt said years ago on John Zion. They were like, yeah, them Middle Easterners done bought up all this land. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like, I was like, what are y'all talking about? I don't understand you, right? Man. Then I started looking at some other reporting here locally. Post and Curry, Warren Wise has been all over it. Like, he's been all over it. It says Qatar's government-backed finance group looking, it gets cut off when you read a news bank, all right? All right, so it says, days after Qatar moved to settle a long-running air travel dispute with the United States officials, with the Arab nation's investment arm met with South Carolina leaders to talk about putting some of the group's billions of dollars in assets into the Palmetto State. Okay, this is written by David Wren in 2018, the Post and Courier. All right. So this is our first visit to South Carolina, and I hope it's not going to be the last. I hope our presence here will develop further. Abdullah bin Muhammad Thani, chief executive officer of Qatar Investment Authority, told business leaders during a lunch meeting Friday at Boeing 787 campus, right? Was this before all the plane crashes? And they were still interested? Was it before or after? When those plane crashes happened? All the planes that were manufactured, those 2 planes manufactured in South Carolina that crashed. No disrespect, I'm just saying that. So Al-Thani also met Thursday in Charleston with Governor McDisaster, Lindsey Graham, and others to discuss possible investments in real estate infrastructure and other business sectors, although no deals are close to being finalized. That was 2018, right? All right, here we go. Let me go back to Twitch because you're saying this web of money. Up. What is this? 650 million, right? We are so fucked, says Justin. Yes, the main owner, right? In DC, right? Tiny nation of U.S. military bases. Come on. That's what it is. Justin, that's what it is. So again, going back to this story, I'm like, wait a minute. And this was in 2019. So that's a year after that David Wren story. And I'm like, yo, what's really going on? Let me see. Okay. I know y'all got to go to work. I know y'all got to go to work. I'm trying to find, I'm like, I wonder if, so my head was like, I wonder if, let me see if this is it. This is David Wren. All right. This might be the same story. No, I think this is a different one. It's so many stories. It's been buried in the business section, but these are the stories. So I want y'all to remember this name right here. Let me see if I can zoom it in. I want y'all to remember this name right here. Barzan Aeronautical. Barzan Holdings, right? The Qatari Ministry of Defense. Barzan Aeronautical, right? I want y'all to remember that. Blow it up more. Okay, Qatari defense firm with its headquarters in downtown Charleston. Let's do that again one more time. Did y'all know that Qatari had a defense firm that was headquartered in downtown Charleston? Because I did not. Did y'all know? Anyone drop in the chat for me? Did y'all know this? I see you, Mev. Did anyone else just indulge me? Did y'all know the Qatari defense firm, Barzan Aeronautical, was headquartered downtown Charleston, trying to drum up business for its newest airborne spy device in Europe? Barzan Aeronautical executives toured Europe last month to tout their Night Warden drone. I don't know how I feel about us making military drones. Okay. All right. Which has been developed secretly in Charleston area. Let's say that again. Barzan Aeronautical executives toured Europe last month to tout their Night Warden drone, which has been developed secretly in Charleston area, according to a report this week by online intelligence website. Okay, you said definitely not. Nope, Jessica. Nope, Nicole. Hell no, says D. What? You said the kids are playing Minecraft. Oh my gosh. Right? Okay, I'm not going to close this out. I'm going to reduce this. Oh, wait, because the other article was, yeah, the Qataris this is 2018. Then we went to this, and this was, what date is this? Oh, this was from April. This is from April 2021, right? So this is from April 2021, right? So check it. So then I put in there, I Googled, I'm like, all right, let me see this. So I Googled, y'all protect me at all costs, please. Please, cause y'all put a prayer of protection on me, because I know I'm getting into some. I told y'all we're going to start looking at Tecklenburg money. I told them that. I told Ross, I told them all, right? So then I was like, I just Googled Tecklenburg and Qatar. That's all I wanted to do, right? Boom. That's all I wanted to do. Why my internet acting slow all of a sudden? It says Qatar. I said Qatar. Qatar donates $100,000 to Charleston for coronavirus relief. Did y'all see this too? Did y'all see this? I didn't see this. All right. Let me load up a little bit more. You gonna act stupid. All right. During a video conference with local officials, Qatar's ambassador to the United States, His Excellency Sheikh, I can't say the name, was that Al-Thani dude, okay? Sheikh Al-Thani, all right, announced $100,000 contribution from the state of Qatar to Charleston to support local response to coronavirus pandemic. The city of Charleston and Doha signed a sister city international agreement last October 2019. I did not know this. This went right under the radar, right? Right? I know. I see you, El Cool J. I see you. All right. The city of, I didn't know Doha and Charleston was like this. I thought our sister city was like Charlotte. I thought Charlotte, I don't know, maybe Atlanta, I'm just Savannah, Doha, okay? All right, and this is all public information, so I'm not saying nothing crazy, but I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, I don't know, this was in the paper, I'm gonna give it to Post and Courier, this was in the business section, but why nobody talking about this? Why nobody talking about this? $100,000 contribution from the state of Qatar to Charleston to support coronavirus relief, right? All right, was this, y'all got to tell me if this was on the agenda at City Council, right? Let me go back to Facebook. I'm sorry, Facebook. It says, but Master's so hypocritical out here backing outside influences, right? Right? And trying to Master's attacking the infrastructure bill, talking about outside influences and stuff. Man, motherfuckers, y'all been courting this Middle Eastern oil money for a minute, right? So right here, this donation, let me go down here. This donation, because this is one thing I found in all my Googling. Qatar, every time Qatar sat down with anybody from Charleston or from South Carolina, they issued press releases. Every time they gave a dime, they made their PR machine was like, yup, we was in Charleston chilling. We had an economic road show in Charleston. We courted this personage. Like even if we didn't print it or talked about it, they was talking about it in Doha, right? Okay, the city of Charleston and Doha signed a sister city agreement, an international agreement last October 2019 to deepen cooperation between the two cities in trade, investment, and culture. The donation will be split evenly between the country. The donation will be split evenly between the country and the county of Charleston and the city of Charleston through the Sister Cities International, whatever. The local nonprofit member of Sister Cities International developed the partnership. Wow. During the conference, Ambassador said, when I was in Charleston last October for the signing ceremony with Mayor Tecklenburg, I didn't see this, y'all. With the signing ceremony with Mayor Tecklenburg, we spoke about hosting a delegation to visit Qatar early this year. We look forward to learning more. Did he go to Qatar, y'all? Did he go? I know he went to Amsterdam. Did Tecklenburg go to Qatar? Because that would have made news, right? Back here, okay. Right. Yeah, exactly, right? We're never getting clean energy. Never getting clean energy here, right? And let me just back it up to that point. Jessica, right? This is exactly why you need to talk about these issues. It's not so much to implicate the mayor in doing something untoward. Clearly, they've created all these ways to get this money here, right? They've created all these legal ways to get this money here, right? So I'm definitely suggesting some impropriety and some lack of transparency. I'm definitely international influence on our real estate. I'm definitely suggesting that because it makes you scratch your head, right? But I'm not saying criminal activity took place, right? But it's important when they tell you, we can't do this, or we can't do that, or we ain't able to do this, we don't have the density, we don't have the da-da-da-da. Understand there's a bag behind the no and there's a bag behind the yes. There's a bag behind the no and a bag behind the yes. Believe it, right? So this wasn't even the shit that's even hot right here. All right. So this, and again, if you go to the this website, make sure you protect yourself. If you go, I know the feds are watching me. I gotta tighten it up. If you go to go to the Qatar embassy, Washington, United States. Go to that website, right? But back to the reporting, because it seemed like people at the Post and Courier were trying to talk about this, and nobody was listening, right? All right, so they making a spy a spy plane called the Night Warden, which problematic as fuck. It's a drone. It's a spying drone, right? And then, oh my God, I'm trying to find, let me see, evictions. No. I had it yesterday. This ain't it. This is just like who's on the airport, the aviation board, right? Y'all, well, this does. So y'all know Mayor Tecklenburg is on the aviation board, along with Helen Hill, Jerome Hayward, the mayor of Mount Pleasant, Mayor Haney. Y'all know they on the aviation board, which actually does kind of deal. It's relevant to the whole Qatar thing. But back to here, right? I just thought this was really, really interesting. Again, going back to this. So again, we're trying to fight filling the Gadsden Creek. A dude in food and bev was working a room. He had ELV associates, and he said it's run like Saudi money. And when this happened, I'm like, this can't be true. He might have been ear hustling a little too. He might have been airdrop. He might have been I'm like, oh, he might have heard something. You don't know. Sometimes you get tips, you don't know if it's valid or not. So he said that, I'm working the room, and who's behind West Edge, yada, 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 yada. Then I found this. This story, ELV, right? So the guy said this back in 2019 to us, ELV Associates, West Edge, right? I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? Right here, boom. I ain't using my library card for this because I got to get to it. All right, this came out in June of this year. $770 million paid for Charleston apartment building, West Edge development. So remember when they started building West Edge and they told you, oh, we bring in jobs. They meant Domino's, Jimmy John's, and Publix and shit, right? That's the job. You can see the Domino's right here on the bottom floor. This is the Caroline, I think, right? Yeah, that's the Caroline, right? So look at the caption underneath. Says Caroline features 237 apartments in West Edge development, right, on the Charleston Peninsula. The multifamily structure recently sold for $77 million, right? Remember what he said. Please, y'all. Hello. Okay. Thank you for messaging me. All right. He says company called ELV Associates. All this foreign money, right? Then you go down here. And boom, okay, it tells you the affiliate, Fairfield Residential, Caroline Unit, across from the Joe Riley monument to himself while he's still alive. It says the previous owners were South City Partners and Gateway Development, both of Atlanta. Again, not even from the goddamn state, right? These are the developers from out of state. And Gateway, we see you. We saw you when you try to offer one of our community members a check to shut the fuck up. Gateway, we see you. You try to get us to pipe down. You sent that check to one of our community members to shut the fuck up. Check. We saw you, and that check was promptly returned. Okay. Friends of Gadsden Creek, gang. All right. The previous owners were South City Partners and Gateway Development, both of Atlanta, and ELV Associates Incorporated of Boston. ELV Associates of Incorporated of Boston, according to the commercial real estate firm Cushman and Wakefield, right, which represented the sellers, right? So they bought the 1.6 acre undeveloped parcel in 2016 for $4.6 million from the city, and then they flipped that. That's what you call a crack flip. If you was out there, on the corner, you call that a crack flip. I don't know if that's a crack flip or a back flip, but whenever you turn 4.6 million into 77 million, you did all right. You did all right, right? All right. And so I'm talking to my friends at Gadsden Creek, and I'm like, yo, what this mean, yo? Like, what this mean? And so I said, remember when we got this clip? Remember when we got this tip in 2019? They were like, yeah. I said, well, this is the follow-up story that was published in June, right? And so Friends of Gaston Creek said this was West Edge's plan the whole time. Again, West Edge is not no friendly nonprofit that's here to help with drainage mitigation. West Edge is being fueled by a lot of outside interests, including international investors or whatever, Boston, Atlanta, and other things, right? This was West Edge's plans from the start, okay? To dump the properties once they are built and generating revenue, right? And then they sell to some massive pension fund managing retirement funds for people in who knows where, right? Zero care for the Charleston community or its residents, its history, or any of that. So that's how they do this. They buy the properties, develop the properties, and then sell them off. And then they pocket the money. You feel what I'm saying? All the while, to Mev's earlier point and to our earlier points, all the while taking money from your school districts, taking money from your communities, right? Mev, you said it's no coincidence that Charleston is the #1 destination internationally year after year. It's no coincidence. They pay for that distinction, y'all. Helen Hill pays for that distinction to be the #1 tourist destination year after year, right? Go and check the investor guest list at Kiowa and Seabrook. Come on, right? Go over here to Twitch. Let me see. Investors in properties, right? And then Jessica, you says our top exports to Qatar are aircraft, machinery, arms, and ammunition. Their top export to us is refined petroleum. This is as American as apple pie. Absolutely. But when they tell you, when they act like they're doing this, all of this development, when they act like they take, and I know you're saying like, Mika, well, did you make the connection to West Edge and Qatar? Not directly, but my point is a lot of these, there's a way for people to kind of obscure their connection to these things, to these deals, but these deals are also made to fit in a broader economic strategy, right? And so it's not hard to find a story on Qatar, Johns Island. It's not hard, right? Shout out to Warren Wise, spy drone maker, eyes Charleston Airport on Johns Island. And this is what my aunts were talking about. She said, yeah, those Middle Easterners bought up all that land. And I was like, what are you talking about? A spy, and they must have read or something, a spy drone manufacturing plant that could employ 100 workers. 100 workers is being proposed for Charleston Executive Airport. That's a little private airport on Johns Island, y'all. Y'all think traffic on Johns Island is bad now? Whew. Y'all seen all the development? So site plans presented to the city of Charleston show a light industrial development called Project Rose that includes 3 structures near an abandoned taxiway at the airfield. Okay, Charleston-based Qatari defense arm Bars and Aeronautical is identified on the document. So this story was written April of 2021. And then, let me see. I think this is the same, and it might be the same article I just read. Yeah, because it's from 2019. Right, Qatar's under the radar SC aerospace firm raising questions and eyebrows. Again, David Wren and Warren Wise were on it. An Arab nation looking to invest in South Carolina has set up an aeronautics firm with the Charleston headquarters, but company's intent isn't clear, and none of its principals are talking. Right. Right there on Meeting Street. Wait, what? The Qatar, a tiny oil-rich country along the Persian Gulf, has created a business called Bars and Aeronautical that is registered to a West Ashley accountant and lists its principal business address as 170 Meeting Street, according to the documents filed in the state and federal government. Woo! What you say? I got you. All right. Oh my goodness. Anyway. Let me go back to my personal email account. Let me go to my email. Because what I sent, I hope, what I sent my friend on my business. Oops. What I sent my friend, oh yeah, I sent him this from 2018. This is when Qatar, John Tecklenburg, they met in Charleston. The meeting took place on the sidelines of Qatar's economic roadshow in Charleston, which I didn't even know was a thing back then, right? Anyway, I'm just showing y'all that I started off the live stream at 7:30. Thank you for those who keep coming back and popping in or whatever, or staying with me. Started at 7:30 saying that, buying back the block is not simple. This is just one part of why it's not simple, because these deals have already been in place for quite some time. I do want to go back to the Friends of Gadsden Creek. Please, y'all, Google this story, though. Like, please Google this story. This one specifically. But I want to go back to the Friends of Gadsden Creek website. I'm acting like I don't know our website. All right. And then I want to go back to our research. So like buying back the block, the block been bought. The block been, and it ain't bought as promised. If the block ain't bought as promised, right? And so being redundant as hell, I know, being redundant. But when you talk about like, there's no part, especially of the peninsula, right? There's no part of the peninsula that hasn't already been promised or earmarked or just prepared for investment by other people, the highest bidder, right? And the fact that we're selling Charleston, selling key real estate, not so much that we're selling it to outside interests, and this is in no way, shape, or form, like, even, I'm not even bashing Qatar, like, it is what it is, like, kind of, that's another conversation is what I'm trying to say. I'm not having that conversation about ethics and all that other stuff. I'm having more of a conversation as to outside interests. So when someone like Ross Appel says the 7 people don't count, we know what he means. He means these investors count. He means Helen Hill and what she's trying to do to expand direct flights to certain countries. He means they count. He means all these outside interests from Georgia, Boston, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. He means that they count over you. That your words and your values matter over you, because they already know what's about to happen. And this is why Dudley, Waring, and even Mitchell, to a degree, have thrown in the towel. They've thrown in the towel because they know the change is inevitable. The political power that Dudley used to have used to be rooted in the black community. Once he saw the shifting demographics, he did nothing to stop it. He did nothing to stop the shifts. He did nothing to voice an outcry or anything against gentrification. He rolled with it. You can't beat him. What? Join him. That's Dudley. That's Dudley and Waring. You can't beat him. Join him. If you can't beat him, join him. And that's really fucked up. And so all these tips that have been put in place since the 90s, right? The Horizon TIF in 08, right? And let's go back to that one tip. Wait, let me go back to that one tip right here. All right, here, this little factoid. 2017 Horizon TIF development begins receiving funds from increasing in local property taxes, from the increase in property taxes. Okay, that's what the TIF does, right? So we're gonna go to that chart one more time. Here we go, boom. Right? So this is a slide that says the majority of funding reallocated away from Charleston area schools, right, to the Horizon TIF. Okay? So it went from, okay, we're just going to take $250,000 from our schools back in 2017, 2018, and then in 2020, oh, no, we're going to take over $1 million from our schools. right? To fund these projects, to fund these, so therefore continuing to create space and opportunities for international investment, and also for these other developers who develop the land, build these monstrosities that have no character, no imagination, no innovation. These aren't even beautiful buildings, right? These aren't even beautiful buildings. They build them, they flip them. You build it for $4 million, you sell it for $77 million. Oh, and then you take a couple lunches from people from Qatar. Take a couple, and it's funny how they split up that 100,000. So they took the 100,000 from Qatar, and then 50 went to the county, 50 went to the city. So the county, especially with Boeing and all that, because that's why Qatar, in one article, Qatar said the reason why they chose Charleston is because it's leading the way in manufacturing and aero. I'm like, wait, hold up. 2 planes that came from Charleston fell out the fucking sky. Not to be gross, but 2 planes that was built in Charleston fell out the fucking sky. And the reason why they fell out the fucking sky is because we don't have that type of expertise here. We're not a manufacturing hub like a Chicago, like a Seattle, like in these other places, like in Ohio, where Boeing exists and has existed for generations. So, we don't have that. Like how Detroit is Motor City. You could imagine years ago, right? When manufacturing was big here in the United States. Imagine how many generations of folks worked that Ford assembly line, right? And passed it. We don't have that here. They make it act like they acting like we do. Right, they acting like, because they courted a couple of manufacturers here, BMW and so on and so forth. We don't have that. So for Qatar to go on the record in one of the articles I pulled and say, "Oh, we chose Charleston because how they leading the way in aeronautical manufacturing," I'm like, wait, two planes fell out the motherfucking sky. Did you read the New York Times piece? Like, okay, yeah, you gonna have to, yeah. Hold on, Elko J, you said top new investigative reporter, editor revamped what? I'm just, please, I ain't trying to get like hemmed up by Men in Black as soon as I leave here. But I'm like, the New York Times did that big old, it was on the Daily podcast. I'm about to dip. I'm about to switch gears a little bit. I know. Oh, and I see you, Joy. Oh, here they come with the crane over here. Jesus. All right, if y'all hear noise, is they fixing the gutters above my apartment. All right, not Qatar. New York Times, Boeing. I can never spell Boeing because it don't sound like one. Boeing. And remember, y'all, it was the podcast episode. It was like 2-parters. It was a 2-parter back in, yeah, the whistleblower at Boeing. And this is 2019. Qatar up there talking like, come on, Qatar, don't insult me. Let me close some of these tabs. I'm like, come on. Yeah, Justin, please go back and read that, right? I'm gonna play a little bit. I'm just play a little bit. Human me. I'm gonna close some tabs.
Boeing was the place. I mean, they were the place to work, And oh my God, it was amazing when I put that Boeing shirt on, how my chest puffed out. I'd walk into the store around here and they're like, "Oh, you work for Boeing? That is awesome. And thank y'all so much. And you just mean so much to this area,
Wow.
And it was just awesome. And it's just, we don't have that anymore here. Nobody does. I mean, everybody I talk to in Boeing, they're embarrassed to work there most of the time. It's just, it's gone.
Did you ever expect to feel the way that you feel about the company now?
Oh, absolutely not. Natalie, I'd still lose sleep every night. I guess, I don't know. I got a conscience or something. I don't know. But I just, I have to get it addressed. That's why I keep telling my story. Somebody's got to step in and get it addressed.
From the New York Times, I'm Michael Barbaro. This is The Daily. Today,
Indonesia's search and rescue agency says that a Lion Air passenger flight has crashed into the sea.
An Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 travelling from Addis Ababa to Nairobi has crashed, with deaths reported.
After the 2 crashes of Boeing's 737 MAX jets, regulators and lawmakers began asking questions about whether the race to get that jet built and the competitive pressure may have led Boeing to miss safety risks in the plane's design.
The FAA and Boeing say faulty sensors on new 737 MAX jets can cause the plane to go into a steep dive.
In reporting that story, my colleague Natalie Kitchoff began to look into whether that pressure extends beyond the 737 MAX.
I'm gonna pause it real quick, right? So just to read some of the subtitles and whatnot. Whistleblowers at Boeing. All right, problems at a plane factory in South Carolina led some workers to question whether safety was always the company's first priority. The fact that Boeing never unionized is beyond me, especially after 2 planes fell out the sky. Beyond me. I swear to God, the way we fumble political power down here, I ain't never seen it. Like, y'all should have been unionizing right there on safety alone, right? And I'm not trying to be grotesque, y'all. I know I keep saying that. Y'all know I speak plain. All right, so background reading. In an industry where safety is paramount, concerns involving 2 crucial Boeing plane models, the 737 MAX and the 787 Dreamliner, right? Point to a potentially systemic problems at the. So again, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because Qatar was like, oh, they lead the way, and I was trying to find when they said that, because I'm like, lead the way. We just entered this space. We didn't lead the way. We just entered this space of being like this figure. Boeing coming here was a huge boom, right? Under Nikki Haley, but don't act like we got this long storied history with aeronautical or I don't know, plane manufacturing. Let me go back to see what Joyce said earlier. It happens when you have real estate in charge of things. Absolutely. 2020, when we had 2 commercial real estate people on the Charleston County School District Board, right? Increased property tax. This is Juanita Harvey on Facebook. Increased in property tax for citizens and a break in taxes for billionaires. Hello. AJU says Boeing was the darling of the area because of the economic desperation of the area made them seem like saviors. Yeah. But then they was out here telling people to hurry and make these planes. Don't worry about your safety. Right? Over here on Twitch. Shout out barbecue chicken pizza. The planes fell out of the sky, but Boeing is still the only option for airplanes, right? It's a monopoly. Right? With Airbud. wait, Airbus. I'm about to say Airbud is the movie. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. I'm not laughing. Airbud is like a movie. Right. It's a monopoly with Airbus. So a monopoly is 2 people running things, right? Just like our news media is starting to become like this 1 or 2 people, right? Support independent media. Follow my Patreon. DM me if you want to support me. Thanks. I will be putting that up here on my screen in the next couple of days. All right. Barbecue chicken pizza, you went on to say planes falling out of the sky are just rounding errors to these people. You ain't never lied. That soft jazz. Alexa, dim the lights. I don't know if it's an intelligent conversation. I feel like the Kristen Wiig character from Bridesmaids. Like I felt like this in the airport when I was telling y'all to call city council last week when they were trying to sneak and change your First Amendment rights with through ordinances and bullshit. I felt like, you said intelligent conversation. I felt like the Kristen Wiig character when she's in the plane. She's like, there's something Carol Jackson's not telling you. Carol Jackson is a woman in colonial garb. There's something there that's telling. Oh my gosh. I just felt really crazy. It says, okay, Estrella Fuega, you says, what do I think about Boeing CEO stepping down? I mean, that's the least you had 2 planes fall out the sky. Like, and the practices being employed in Charleston at that moment right? It says the Boeing plant in North Charleston, South Carolina, workers have complained of debris left on planes, the pressure not to report the violations. I mean, the least you could do, like, and usually when these people step down, they get like these golden parachutes. So, you know, they walk away with millions, sometimes even more, and then stock options and shit. It's the least he could do. You know what I mean? There's something. I'm just gonna play a little bit more, just a little bit more. I don't know how Boeing didn't unionize
Tuesday,
after this.
April 23rd.
Some people don't want better. You know, that's what me and my dad talk about the most, because my dad belonged to a union growing up. My dad worked for Passmark supermarkets, like distribution and shit like that. So he worked all these like really gnarly conditions and shit, like cold freezers and all that other shit, forklifts and all that. And so like we talk about like how when he went up north, hey, what's up, Johnny? Who did that? Thank you, barbecue chicken pizza. When we went up north, his attitudes towards unions changed dramatically when he went up north. And like he talks about it, he's like, yeah, you can't even say union to black men down here, except the ILA. Like you can't even talk about union because people think that it's taking money out your pocket. And it's like, y'all need some leverage. Like if y'all unionize at Boeing, if y'all unionize at some of these places, these manufacturers, y'all don't even know how good y'all would how much better you would have. Let's say like that. Because I know unions could be on some bullshit. We see unions, you know, fighting back with they fighting the anti-vaccine mandates and shit like that. But I know like unions aren't always on like, sometimes they could take certain positions, but I get like fundamentally is to protect a workforce that has no protections, and unions would be critically important in a state like South Carolina, an at-will employer where you can be fired for, I don't know, for anything, wearing the color fucking orange. Like you can be fired. You have no rights. Oh, thank you. Right? You have no rights essentially. Right? Right? Oh my God. Hype train. You trying to start a hype train. Stop. Oh God, hype train is closed. It's closed. I appreciate the support. Nicole, you do a lot of heavy lifting. Let's get it going. Barbecue chicken pizza. Oh, Jessica, you said my husband's family works for the Sikorsky aircraft, Lockheed Martin. I'm acting like there's any yerba mate in here. Okay, Lockheed Martin. You're speaking the truth. The union up there keeps the employees paid with a capital P, right? And then Justin, you says any organization can be corrupted, but unionizing is the most immediate way to help give a bigger piece of the capital pie to workers. Hello. All right, I got you. All right, and AJ, you said whistleblowers have no protection. Unions have been vilified to the extent, exactly. And the reason why I wanted to play more of this is because that man at the end says, you know, he was the whistleblower here. He was like, I would never let my family fly on one of these planes that come out of Charleston. Like, and I was like, drop a Funkmaster Flex bomb. Like, wait, what? He was like, I'll never. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank y'all. I appreciate you. You know, my dad was like, oh, not my dad. The guy, the whistleblower was like, I'll never let my family fly anything that come out of Charleston. And I was like, damn, that's, and I'm trying to, let me see if I can get to it. Let me see if it's at the end of this, because I think it was 2 parts. Let me see. Y'all are so dope. I appreciate y'all's support.
But he retired a couple of years ago because of the pressure that he felt to not report violations. I think a lot of people listening to this may have flights booked on 787s.
Hey, look at this.
And I wonder what you would tell them.
Well, I would say just, I mean, what could I say? You know, I mean, just understand what you're getting into. I mean, understand that just because it's a brand new airplane from Boeing don't mean that it was built right.
Would you fly on a 787 Dreamliner out of Charleston?
No, ma'am. You couldn't pay me. Right.
Run it back.
Would you fly on a 787 Dreamliner out of Charleston?
No, ma'am. You couldn't pay me.
Come on. I mean, thank y'all so much for the support. The subscriptions. Oh my God, my leg falling asleep. The subscriptions matter. Oh my God, y'all. Hold up. Okay. I'm gonna be streaming longer for the foreseeable future. I gotta figure out my chair situation because this beautiful velvet, green velvet bar stool is not, while pretty, is not. Whew. Yeah, but no, it's just like Justin. You says wait, you responding to, let me see. Oh, Johnny James. Good morning, Johnny James. He says, you said your dad always said we don't have unions in the South because the whites don't want black people being paid. Oh, absolutely. Oh, racial animus and unionizing. Oh, absolutely. That's why the ILA has been a target of a lot of union busting by the actual state of South Carolina. That's why the ILA they've been trying to bust it up, and from what I'm hearing on the streets, it's getting scary over there, right? And I don't want to speak to nothing I don't know nothing about, right? Because I got friends over there, but there's some issues with leadership. Let's just leave it at that. And the state that's why they had deployed 600 cops on men, in that labor dispute with the state. Right? That's why they deployed 600 cops. They didn't just want to bust some heads to be graphic. Hey, who did that? Oh, thank you, B-Man. They didn't just want to bust some heads. Like, they wanted to bust up the union and bust up the leadership. So that's why you had 600 cops respond to what? Maybe 2 dozen, maybe 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen predominantly black men, right? And then jailing the Charleston 5, holding them in jail, right? Oh yeah, race. Yeah, yep. Once said racism is the byproduct of capitalism. Once wise man. I don't know if I think racism is the byproduct is capitalism, because that's what me and the Bernie Bros kind of like go. That's what me and Brianna Joy go separate ways. I think it's the other way around. Because race and the subjugation of people of color historically has been used to justify everything from war to whatever type of exploitative practices predating capitalism. But I feel what you're saying. It comes from the same gnarly ass motherfucking tree, but I think it's the other way around sometimes. I think racism gets you capitalism, especially if you living in the South, because capitalism was quite literally born through my motherfucking ancestors' bodies. So I think white supremacy, that's the tree, right? And the fruit is capitalism, is all this other bullshit. So I hear you though. That's what me and the Bernie folks was like going left and right. That race analysis. That's why I was warning it up. Didn't make that mistake. All right. Yeah, I wanted to play that last tidbit specifically because, again, Cutter out here talking about, oh no, yo, Charleston is leading the way in manufacturing planes. I'm like, what? Get out of here. You tripping. Hype train. Success. Thank you for the hype train. Aw. Thank y'all. I love y'all. I really do. Ooh. Thank you. Aw. Thank you. Share. It's so cute. Oh my God. These stupid emotes. Somebody said I gotta make my own. Jared said I gotta make my own on my face. Oh, I can't wait to make my own. I cannot wait. What's this hype kick? All right. If y'all not on Twitch, y'all can't see it over here. It's just me having fun with these things. All right. What time is it? Oh, it's 10. All right. I'm thinking about going from 7 to 10 for the foreseeable future. The same Cutter abuses there. Oh, Johnny James. Johnny James off the turnbuckle. Johnny James. Johnny James, what do you call that? What wrestling move is that? What happens if you come off the turnbuckle? Yeah, I mean, with an elbow.
Hello and welcome to Real Sports Overtime. I'm Bryant Gumbel, sitting here with David Scott, who is our correspondent and co-producer of the piece on Qatar, along with co-producer Josh Fine. Guys,
I heard Qatar.
Let's first talk about why we found ourselves doing this update just a year after we first aired what was a very celebrated piece. What's
People's elbow.
Well, there have been these major disclosures about FIFA and the way it operates. And I think nobody saw that coming. For a long time, the problem with FIFA has been that there's no controlling authority on them, and they're not very good at policing themselves. So then here comes this U.S. attorney in Brooklyn, turned attorney general, who's quietly piecing together this investigation using some of the same techniques they used to take down the mob years ago and applying it to FIFA and its alleged racketeering conspiracy. So it sort of confirms what we've been told about the Qatar 2022 bidding process and allegations of widespread bribery and kickbacks.
But this gets us a little afield.
But they over in Charleston.
Questions of jurisdiction and general.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished. Hold up. But they over here in Charleston making it rain on Tecklenburg, headquartered down. I'm about to go down to 170 Meeting Street. Is this it? Oh shit, look. I didn't know they won an award for this. I remember, shout out Awful Announcing. I remember watching I'm a big sports fan, y'all know I like saying that, like, for no reason all the time. Hey, I'm a big sports fan. I'm like Nancy Mace to her kids. I'm a mom. I'm a big sports fan. And as a big sports fan, I watch Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. And I remember watching how, to Johnny James's point, how this whole FIFA World Cup bid was just really, really fucked up, for lack of a better word, in terms of how Qatar was working so hard to get the bid and how they were treating how they were treating people on the ground, right? Let me see. Let me play this one. Just 1 minute. Hold up.
One night last summer at 3 a.m., we drove outside the city to a place the government doesn't want people to see, the sprawling labor camps where the workers are housed. When we arrived, one shift of weary men was coming home, another shift heading onto buses for another day in the sun. Inside, the men were packed wall to wall, 8 to a room. The heat was stifling, the kitchen filthy, the beds, they told us, infested with bed bugs. 22-year-old Koum lives here among 150 other men. They share 2 bathrooms.
This is one of 2.
Aspire's chief, Khalid Al-Sulatin, told us that the reports of poor working and living conditions were exaggerated.
If the conditions of foreign workers are not as bad as some of the reports imply, what is the truth of the conditions?
You go yourself.
Now I understand why we sister cities with Doha. Now I understand why Charleston, South Carolina, sister city is Doha. And they have a debtor's prison, KCJ 18.
Investigated. You will see them living in a very, comfortable, healthy environment.
Comfortable and healthy?
Of course.
Let
they
me
are
say
living
this,
in a
Mr.
very healthy environment, alhamdulillah.
Mr. Al-Sulatin, with all due respect, we have gone to the camps.
You went yourself?
Yes, this week in Doha.
How did that happen?
Thousands of men.
He's like, how'd you go? How'd you get in there? You went yourself?
Living in labor camps. Some of them packed into small rooms, 8 men to a room.
Labor camps. Doha, labor camps. Charleston, labor camps. Helen Hill, CVB, selling labor camps. Labor camps, plantations, labor camps. Charleston, Doha, Charleston. Y'all get it now? You get it? You getting it? You get what I'm saying?
Like the one we saw. 10 men sharing a toilet, no showers. Why is it necessary to keep these men in camps at all?
Was that the end? Qatar's scandal-ridden 2022 World Cup. Y'all, okay. Somebody said this. Somebody said, AJ, if you're still listening, I don't know if you're still watching AJ. I don't know if you're still listening. Somebody told me, AJ, our mutual, I think you said this. You know how I know Raven Saunders got some really bad news yesterday. I want to just say rest in peace to Raven Saunders' mom. It's really so tragic. Her mom died, y'all, and it's just really sad. And so after she wins the silver medal in the Olympics, after she gives a shout out to her mom passes away, and it's really, really sad. And I'm only bringing that up because there was recent conversation around Stony Field, because Raven is a self-taught shot putter, a self-taught elite athlete, who attended Burke. And y'all know the Stony Field is over there, and years of Stony Field being in disrepair, right? No upkeep, no nothing. Y'all know that area anyway is built on the landfill, so you can only imagine how hard it is to probably keep it up, even if they gave a fuck. But they didn't give a fuck, and they let the field fall into disrepair. But I think someone attributed AJ to a quote saying that watch how much soccer is going to be played on Stony Field once they finish the massive $1 million refurbishment, right? Yeah, I know it's terrible, right? But watch how much soccer, and I'm not trying to be trivial, but watch how much soccer, y'all already know. So Harmon Field, that soccer field that's across the street, like that's over there, right across from the gas and Green Projects. Y'all know that soccer field right there. All that, they took away the basketball hoop years ago. Used to be a basketball blacktop over there, but there's still a baseball field, and you see all that soccer's there, right? That Harmon Field was gifted to Black people by the Harmon Foundation, specifically for Black recreational use. But you don't see many Black people out there enjoying that field. You see a lot of soccer enthusiasts enjoying that field, right? And that, no shade, like go get your bend it like Beckham. I don't give a fuck. But we know that also that's actively displacing. It could be a place where Black kids really connected with that history, connected with the Cannon Street All-Stars and that history, connected with all of that amazing Black history. You just don't see it there. You just see you see grown-ups enjoying soccer. Now watch how Stony Field, after it's finished, watch how much soccer's over there, and then watch how many Qatar World Cup 2020 shits pop up in Charleston. Just watch that shit. Watch that shit. I know that might sound like a reach. I think being that Qatar has so much literal interest in Charleston, and has paid so much and funneled so much more money to South Carolina. They have they building a drone building facility on Johns Island, headquartered on Meaning Street. $100,000 going to Charleston County and the city of Charleston. The mayor having, breaking bread with them during their economics roadshow here. And they're not just here too. They in Raleigh, they in all these other places, they in Georgia. But they here and they sinking a lot of money, buying up a lot of real estate and all that other stuff. Watch how like you're gonna see a lot of Qatar propaganda. Excuse me, Qatar propaganda. Nah, you say it's not a reach. AJ says it's not a reach. Hell yeah, watch the complexion of those who will be using that new Stony Field. It won't be no black Burke athletes over there using that field. It won't be that. Yeah, it won't be that for sure. Who's this writing? Writing to pass the time? What's frustrating? All right. Anyway, I'm gonna stop it there. Ooh. I hope the Men in Black don't get me, y'all. I'll be here probably 7:30 tomorrow. I'm going to try to see if I can do 7 to 10. Treat it just like the Today Show or Good Morning America. I'll be on a lot more in the morning. My mom said that I might be tiring y'all out, but I think y'all want to hear from me. Tell Trudy to stand down. She don't know what she's talking about. Trudy's also my she said that I don't want to tire her out. But she also was like, when I was in Jersey, she was like, what about your show? Like every time I'm gonna call, I'm like, hey mom, what's up? She's like, what about your show? I'm like, mom, I'm taking a break. No. What about your show? It's been nice knowing you. Don't do me like that, Jessica. Yeah, all right. So this is all like I'm joking, but like this is all publicly disclosed stuff. This ain't I ain't going no except the tip from the dude in the room. But everything else is publicly disclosed. Oh, before I go. I gotta do this. Before I go. Hold up. I know y'all listening. Shout out to y'all hanging out. Shout out to the 20 viewers on Twitch. Before I go. Okay, it's the front page of today's paper. The front page, let me find it. Of today. Why I got the Sacramento Bee? Oh. I'm telling you, I fell down like mad rabbit holes. Like y'all should see my face when I fall out. Like I'm just sitting here and my mouth is just agape like that. Like it's crazy. All right. So this is the front page of today's Post and Courier. This bullshit. For those who didn't watch at the top, at the tippy top, we talked about the senators that won't release the motherfucking money to the people on the ground. But this shit, lasso-like device captures. This is so sad. Sick and sorry. So they coming up, they trying to, look guys, we got a new non-lethal option. Even though we haven't corrected our use of force policies, we got a new non-lethal option. Lasso-like device captures attention of police agencies. You scroll down, it says Sergeant Sean Tumbleston and Lieutenant Chris Hirsch of the Somerville Police Department give a demonstration on how the bolo wrap restraint at the Somerville Police Department. Okay, so give a demonstration. Y'all see how he dressed, right? Right? So you're apprehending people, and instead of shooting them, and instead of tasing them to death, they said, nah, we got this other thing. Yo, it's real dope. We got this other thing. Let me pause it. And I was like, what the fuck is the bolo wrap? I honestly never heard of it. Shout out Somerville.
Hear that shot? It sounds like a gun has been fired inside the College of the
Sorry, I should have gave y'all one.
But this isn't a gun. It's the newest tool for the Edenton Police Department.
But this gives us an extra tool to be able to
look at how they dress though,
without using a different amount of a high level of force.
The department is the very first in the state of North Carolina to get the bolo wrap. It's not replacing tasers or firearms, but it's giving officers another option of keeping an offender from hurting them or themselves.
If you use gas, that causes pain. If you use electronic device, that causes pain, and you might fall and split your head open. If you get wrapped walking away, it stops you.
The device is the same size as a calculator. It's deployed by the push of a single button, sending a long Kevlar string flying, with hooks on either end. It wraps around it.
That part. Them fucking fish hooks. Because I'm like, oh, they all wearing like khaki or thick denim. And I'm like, how does it last? So yeah, like Wonder Woman. But yeah, it's some of the who's that? KCJ18. Instead of saying Wonder Woman, they said Spider-Man. I'm like, it's Wonder Woman has a damn lasso. You can't even give women any damn recognition when it comes to superheroes. But anyway, but look at this fucking fish hook. So I'm out because I was like, well, how does it wrap? Is it sticky? Like, how does it wrap? Is it magnets or something that it I was like, oh no, it just digs into your shit. That's how it wraps.
An offender, so they can't move their arms or legs, giving officers valuable seconds to make their next move.
It gives you a chance to get control of somebody. It's like taking handcuffs and throwing them at somebody and wrapping them up.
Officers from Edenton and other nearby departments were able to try out the device today. Even I was given a chance. After some instruction, I was able to land the rope around the mannequin's arms and body. If this happened in the field to someone police thought was dangerous, it could de-escalate a situation.
This is seen as a humane restraint. And you know, when we deal with people humanely and we show care, empathy, it's a win-win.
But is it really pain-free? Yeah, I put that to the test too.
I see you, Joy.
I'm ready.
You're ready as ready's gonna be.
Exactly.
Look what she's wearing.
The rope pinned my arms down, and the noise stunned me. But the device didn't hurt me. If the device was deployed on someone who didn't have clothes on, police say it could cause some pain, but they say it's better than any of the other alternatives.
It's a great way to get them into custody and not hurt them. That's our main
That's why
job.
y'all always.
Once Edenton police officers are trained, they will.
Y'all always getting somebody into custody. Jesus, and it was like a article. Cause it was the Washington Post, right? Somebody gonna aim that shit real fucking wrong in the upper region Like, it ain't. So yeah, this is where. So yeah, KCJ 18. It said Wonder Woman. I'm like, I mean, they said Spider-Man. And I'm like, a lasso is literally Wonder Woman. So it says Spider-Man like lasso is marketed as, and this is from a while ago. This is from 2020. No, it's not. What the wait, hold up. So yeah, it says marketed as a police game changer, but some aren't buying it. And then when I scrolled down, because I wanted to get the opposition, right? I wanted to get a picture of it too, because I was like, how is it? And I'm like, oh, the hooks, which is gross. And so when I went down, yeah, got criticism, right. It's not a silver bullet, but useful de-escalation for officers. And then one of the bolo wrap requires a 3-foot radius around the subject to deploy properly. Which makes indoor use more difficult. So yeah, if you're inside, you can't be popping this shit off when you're indoors. You got to be out in the open, right? And let me see. Oh yeah. So this guy says, at the Landover Hill demonstration, Ross, the former Philadelphia police commissioner, said the small hooks at each end of the bolo wrap cable are designed to embed in the subject's clothing, but also could hook into their skin, which is what happened during a second demonstration involving Liberati. Who's Liberati? Okay, I guess a former person was talking. Okay, the bolo wrap was deployed too high on the chief's body, hooking his hands and leaving him bloody. I had my hands too low. It was my fault. Well, motherfucker, like, you gonna be out there, it's not gonna be lassos are for livestock. That's right, Nicole. Jessica, thank you. Yeah, hey Anna Marks, hey Joy, what you said? A batarang? They got a batarang. Living their Batman fantasies, right? Right, humane restraint. That sounds like an oxymoron. All right, I wanted to play that because I just thought that was like, so going back to front page of today's Post and Courier, lasso like device. So Somerville out here testing out this bullshit. Just somebody at the next presser, ask them about the fish hooks. Please ask them about the fish hooks. They're gonna have to perfect that part. They're gonna have to come with some sort of, come up with something. But the fish hooks ain't gonna work. Cause what about, seriously? So you can't use it on anybody with shorts, people who are shirtless. I done showed y'all the opening theme of Cops. You see how some of these apprehensions happen. All right, y'all. All right, that's it. I'm gonna end it there. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you for going down the Qatar or whatever. Going down the Qatar rabbit hole of money with me. Thank you for tracking with me. I hope you all got it. Like when we talk about when things aren't accessible, when there's no housing, land, everything, understand that there's a lot of financial interest behind it. Thank you for tracking with me behind the COVID funds, the money that's not being released, the people who need renters assistance or assistance with their utilities. That money's not getting to people. Thank you for just having this conversation with me. We're going to continue to have these conversations about James French, about a lot of other things. But today was a really fun show. Fun live stream. Thank you for just sticking with me as I was finding all of the mini clips from Qatar. I can't say it. I'm just gonna say Doha, our sister city, Doha. That's a trivia question. Next time y'all are out playing games with your family, put that down as a trivia question as multiple choice. Like Charleston's sister city. Is it Savannah? Is it Charlotte? Is it Austin, Texas? Is it Qatar? Is it Doha? Stump somebody. Let them know. Yeah. Hands too low. My fault. Just about the bolo wrap. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, so thanks for just rocking with me. Thank you for all the support, all the subs. Like Nicole, man, you be doing... That's my girl from Jersey. Thank you so much for everybody's support. Nicole, everybody, Jessica, everybody. Just thank you so much. Tomorrow we'll probably talk about Stephen Bowden because he filed for to run for city council yesterday. So Yeah, no longer do the folks of District 10 have to have a councilman that feels like two 8-year-olds standing on each other's shoulders in a trench coat and Harry Griffin. Hopefully now the folks of District 10 will choose a grown-up, and not just a grown-up, somebody who's compassionate and thoughtful, and hopefully someone, once Stephen gets elected though, Stephen, our relationship changes because I'm going to be holding you accountable. But hopefully people will. Stephen is by far the better choice for so many basic reasons. But tomorrow we'll talk more about that and just go over I think he did a little press hit. So we'll go over that tomorrow, right? And some other things. I'm sure something will piss me off today from City of Charleston. All right. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. I really do. See you tomorrow morning. Bye.